एक सेकंड, इसमें किसका आईडी खुला है? मेरा ये ना, इसमें लिंक पे फटाक से ये आईडी
एक सेकंड
इनवाइट
ओके सॉरी
ईमेल आईडी पे मेरा ईमेल आईडी डाल दो। ये सब्जेक्ट I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all the guests who are joining us virtually for the event. We are greatly honored by your presence, and we are grateful to have each and every one here with us today. Before we begin with the event, I would like to request all of you to please stand up for the national anthem. अंधेरे को अंधेरा नहीं काट सकता, ये काम सिर्फ रोशनी का है। रोशनी is light. Light signifies open and guides us towards a better, healthier, brighter, and prosperous future. We are gathered here today to be enlightened and to be guided about how we can walk better on the path of achieving good health. Let us all seek blessings from the Almighty. Let us all seek the light from the Almighty by kindling the auspicious diya. For the same, I request Mr. Gopal Sharma, Mrs. Hartika Veera ma'am, Dr. Neha Tanvalkar, Mr. Ajay, Dr. Ambadekar sir, Dr. Kiran Sangani sir, and Mrs. Bhakti Samant to please kindle the lamp. Thank you thank you to all the dignitaries for kindling the lamp. Now I request Ms. Shubha Ansari to present a small token of appreciation to all the dignitaries present on this. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Kiran Sangani sir. Mrs. Bhakti Samant. Mrs. Hartika Veera. Dr. Neha Tanvalkar. I would also request Ms. Shubha Ansari to present the appreciation to Mr. Ajay Bundela and Mrs. Pooja Agarwal. And thank all the dignitaries, and I now request all the dignitaries to please. During that presentation, is it possible to we would request all the dignitaries from Rotary Club to also be present on the days for the token of appreciation. So please.
फोटोग्राफर के फायदा नहीं।
Thank you, Shafaq ma'am. I now request all the dignitaries to please occupy seats in the audience. Thank you so much. I now request Mr. Bhartika Veera, Head Mentor, Lifeless Science Institute, LSI, to come to the dais and please welcome our audience. Please give a round of applause for Mr. Bhartika Veera. A very good afternoon. Okay. I think I have to keep it much more closer. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to one and all present here today. I, Bhargava Veera, Chief Mentor at LSI and Head of Clinical and Chief Clinical Practitioner in the Holistic Healing System, takes this opportunity to welcome one and all for this session today in commemoration of celebrating World Hypertension Day. I would take a moment to talk a little more about LSI today. I know not many of you all know as such, so I would like to take a few moments. I would like to take a few moments to talk about it. So to begin with, we started with these courses of BSc Honors, MSc and PG Dietetics, PG in Integrative Nutrition and Dietetics in Nagendas Khanwala College, post which we also had our courses in DK Birla and followed by which Bombay College of Pharmacy. So today we are very proud to have 3 colleges in affiliation with Mumbai University providing these courses. I, being a nutrition student myself, I know how the studies were at that point of time. It was excellent, and I have had opportunity to talk to the best of. I have been taught by the best of faculties. But yes, as in how we have been practicing, and I would say all the dignitaries here would agree to me that practical aspect or something beyond nutrition is also something which is very much required for healing a particular patient. So we at LSI proudly are pioneers in terms of putting across this course in integrative nutrition, wherein we talk beyond nutrition. We speak about or we teach the lifestyle pillars. What is it that can go wrong? How does it impact? How do you work on it in terms of getting your health better? So all of these things are being taken care of. And at the same time, this is one of the colleges which is providing honors degree in graduation as well, which is also very much helpful for all the students who are looking forward to pursue masters abroad. So all in all, I would say this is one of its course which provides a 360-degree approach towards healing a particular patient for us to be much more effective and look at something which is beyond nutrition. So thank you so much. I would like to invite Ara ma'am here again to take this forward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hardika ma'am. I now request Dr. Neha Sanwal Karumta, the co-treasurer for the Nutrition Society of India, Mumbai chapter, come and welcome the audience for today's event.
Thank you, Arva, for the kind invite. I welcome everybody on behalf of NSI Mumbai chapter. Nutrition Society of India was founded in 1967, and we are recognized Indian representative for International Union's Nutritional Sciences through the adhering bodies, Indian National Science Academy and Federation of Asian Society for Nutrition. Our headquarters are based at National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, and we have many active zonal chapters, Mumbai being one of that. We do a lot of activities, be it programs for professionals, publishing books or guidelines. We also do a lot of awareness programs for the people, because till we reach out to people, we are not fulfilling our duty. So this today is one of those events, and we are very grateful to have collaborated with all the other organizations to organize this event and get to you. So thank you so much. Over to you, Arvind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neha. Next, I would request Mr. Ajay Bundela from Rotary Club Garden City to come and welcome our audience for today's event.
Thank you. Very good. Anyway, so boys and girls, good afternoon to you. Can we also get this is brilliant. So my name is Ajay Bundela. I Rotary Club of Garden City, and I'm so happy to see such amazing people. I mean, never did I ever get a chance to sit on the first bench. So thank you so much. And I'm sitting with some scholars here. And I promise you I'm going to take some nice notes, but I want to say a big thank you to, I call him Gopal sir. So Gopal sir, thank you so much for being so kind, getting me to the first bench. Thank you so much. And I also have a ma'am with me, and she's Pooja ma'am. So thank you, ma'am, for allowing me to sit next to you. Yeah. And our fellow Rotarians. Thank you so much for being here. I also see that there is Rotary Club of Virar and Mira Road who and Khar. Okay. And they have co-hosted this amazing event. So this is going to be a roller coaster event. Fortunately, no diabetes, but a lot of nutrition. So I'm just hoping to learn a lot, and thank you so much. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bundela, and thank you to the various Rotary clubs. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Sunil Dhan from Diabetes Roshni. He is attending online, so we may request Dr. Sunil to please turn his camera and mic on and speak a few words for today's event. Dr. Sunil Dhan, let's give him a huge round of applause, please. Hello, Dr. Sunil. Are you able to hear us? Can I request you to please turn your video on and your mic on and speak a few words, please?
Hello everyone. I myself, Dr. Sunil from Jaipur. I'm a consultant endocrinologist in Jaipur. Basically, my field is lifestyle diseases, especially like obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. First of all, I would like to thank my cousin Gopal Sharma. He invited me to join this program regarding the Hypertension Day. So first of all, I would like to thank all members of Rotary Club Garden City of Mumbai, and I'm happy to see all of you on this screen. Thank you.
or a serious condition that you really need to pay attention to? Very honestly, very honestly. Not the doctors. Doctors are excluded from answering.
I understand.
These are there. So, or any serious health condition that needs immediate attention that way, serious attention. There are very few, and very surprisingly, even the patients of hypertension themselves do not consider it very seriously. That it is something that they need to pay attention on a day-to-day basis, and the moment that BP comes under control, the medicines will be off. So it is like that. But this particular day, like the 17th March, 17th May, is being observed, not celebrated. Observed as World Hypertension Day because this is a clinical condition, and hypertension is not a very simple metabolic error. It's a very silent killer, and one of the major risk factors of premature deaths across the globe. That's the reason why this particular event has been initiated. The initiative has been taken by the World Hypertension League. And this league, it works very closely with World Health Organization and also International Society of Hypertension. And this league has over 80 countries as its members, and we are one of the proud members of this. We also have Indian Hypertension Society, and we have their own lot of initiatives happening all over the country. And this month, many of you must have heard of so many organizations organizing this kind of awareness events. And every year on this day, there is a theme that is issued by the league, and this year's theme is measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, and live longer. So very nice theme because it is covering so many aspects of this. And before proceeding further, I would like to just ask you, approximately, what is the age group of people who suffer from hypertension? Any idea? Even online participants, if they want, they can just put it in the chat. Maybe you are muted, but what about you all? 30 to 40 is one answer. Then anybody from there? What is the normal age group and where you can expect people to have this problem? 40 plus. Okay, so most of the answers are like about 30. But the most recent National Family Health Survey, they have declared the prevalence of hypertension in our country, and their observation is like it is happening right from teenage, 15 years onwards. So their sample consisted of children also. So it's not restricted no more to about 30 onwards. One has to be very careful right from their teens, or probably if there is any strong family history even earlier too. So here, according to NFHS 5, the prevalence in the age group of 15 to 49 years is 22.8%. Majority are definitely about 30 years, but there are some even below 30 years. That is really a very big cause of concern. So now there is one very interesting risk factor which World Health Organization has put it up on their website. Very interesting risk factor, because nowadays for any disease, the risk factor usually termed is obesity, overweight, or smoking, alcoholism. These are the type of risk factors which are listed very often. But the World Health Organization's way of putting it is very nice. It is globalization. Okay, and all of us look at that word very positively, and we take pride in saying that globalization. But what globalization they are talking about is globalization of faulty lifestyles and faulty healthy habits. So ignoring whatever healthy habits we have, whatever active lifestyles we have, the transition is happening very fast, very fast. It didn't take so many years in India for this transition to happen. So that is the risk factor which needs to be controlled. So it is globalization. We cannot stop it. We should not stop it. I'm not talking about technical globalization. There is other way of globalization is all happening very, very fast. So we need to address that. So here there are many things like that I have just mentioned over here in the name of theme of day. So it is not just theme like measurement or medical aspects, creating awareness, because that's the main aim of this league, creating awareness of hypertension across the populations. So three different aspects have been identified by us as very, very important aspects. One is everybody should be very clear about the medical aspects of hypertension. Why is it caused and how is it? How should we understand hypertension? Then, of course, the measurement. What is the, how can we make accurate measurement of blood pressure and how frequently we should do it? Okay, then what are the repercussions? What are the complications of hypertension? Can we take it light? Okay, so these are the medical aspects. And then the next is definitely any disease. Because once they fall sick, the next question to the doctors after they prescribe medicine, the doctor, what should I eat? Okay, we need food to live, whether we are healthy or we are suffering from disease. So definitely food plays equally important role. One doesn't understand about what they can eat because the clinical situation, the body metabolism has changed. And there are so many no's and so many yes and so many restrictions. So one needs to be aware of that. So diet. So we have that as a second aspect. And then another very important lifestyle factor, which is actually emerging very fast, that is exercise. Okay, which slowly people have forgotten, but now again it is rejuvenized. Okay, people are getting aware of exercise now, but again there is a lot of confusion. What kind of exercise? Anybody's common answer for exercise is I walk. Okay, and what is the quality of that walking? Very few people will be able to define to you, and there are very few people who intentionally take up to other varieties of exercises which are required. So we need to know what kind of exercises are required for controlling, managing, or even preventing hypertension. So exercise is the third parameter. So today we have eminent experts from the medical field, Dr. Ambadekar and Ms. Bhakti Samant and Dr. Kiran Sangani, very experienced in their fields, and they are going to share their expertise with us and throw light on all these aspects. And my request to all those who are physically attending the event and also all those who are online, that is, you please take listen to each and every talk very carefully, take the message and use it not only for yourself. Use it for all your family members, your friends, and anybody whom you think is going to have a problem or is having a problem. Spread awareness. Okay, with this, I hand over the mic to Arva and all the, I wish all the participants are very intellectually pleased here. Thank you so much. Yeah. Such insight. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the valuable introduction that you just gave us. Can we have a huge round of applause for ma'am for taking such eye-opening facts, right? Okay. Thank you so much. So are we super excited for the speakers session? Yeah. Can I hear the excitement, please, about all of you? Okay. So let me welcome our very first speaker for the afternoon, Dr. Shekhar Ambadekar, sir. Dr. Shekhar Ambadekar is a senior interventional cardiologist with a special interest in preventive cardiology. Dr. Ambadekar is currently associated with SL Raheja Hospital, Mahi, and he has more than 38 years of experience in interventional cardiology. That is a great amount of experience, sir. We are so honored to have you here. Dr. Ambadekar also has extensive experience in teaching because sir has worked as a lecturer in cardiology for the Grant Medical Hospital and JJ Hospitals, Mumbai, where sir has mentored several graduate and postgraduate students. We are extremely honored to have you, sir, here. Thank you so much. Let's welcome sir with a huge round of applause. He has more than 38 years of experience. Yes.
47 ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉంది ఆయనకి హార్ట్ స్పెషలిస్ట్
Anyway, friends, good afternoon. I'm very happy that, after lunch, rather than taking siesta on a weekend, we are all gathered here. Okay. Okay, so we are discussing hypertension. Okay. Now, what is hypertension? When we ask the patients and individuals, hypertension आपको है क्या? हाँ, मेरे को hypertension तो है. So they mean this. Friends, we are all aware. Is this hypertension? No. If we say this is hypertension, you're wrong. Then what is this called? This is called as stress, isn't it? This is not hypertension. Okay, then what is hypertension? Hyper means, we all know, hyper means high, tension is pressure. When there is high blood pressure, we call it as hypertension. हिंदी में उसे उच्च रक्तचाप कहते हैं, मराठी मध्ये उच्च रक्तदाब, गुजराती में लोहीનું ઊંચું દબાણ, रुधिर दबाण. ओके, सो हम लोग जो चर्चा करने वाले वो क्या है? पार्टली, बट बेसिकली उच्च रक्तचाप, उसके लक्षण क्या है, उसके कारण क्या है, इलाज क्या होता है और उससे कैसे बचें.
प्लस ब्लड प्रेशर.
So that is hypertension. Friends, पहले ये कि ब्लड प्रेशर होना क्यों चाहिए? Why should there be blood pressure at all? See, our entire body is made of some parts, okay? Not only upper limbs, lower limbs, head, etc., etc. लेकिन शरीर के अंदर भी जो कुछ है, छाती में जो कुछ है, पेट के अंदर जो कुछ है, यहाँ भी कुछ अंदर है ना? होना चाहिए. तो यहाँ कुछ है. तो सबके लिए वो ठीक रहने के लिए, उनके अपने काम के लिए जो कुछ खाना चाहिए, हम लोग जो खाना खाते हैं, water that we drink, oxygen that we breathe, all these things must reach each and every part of the body. तो पहुंचना जरूरी. You know how it reaches each and every part of the body? हमारे शरीर में ऐसी पाइपलाइन से पूरे शरीर में जाती है, और पाइपलाइन सब जगह खून लेके जाती है. खून में से जो कुछ ले, चलो रोटी है खा लो, पानी है पी लो, ऑक्सीजन ले लो, ये सब कुछ करने के लिए पाइपलाइन से. भाई पाइपलाइन से अगर ब्लड जा रहा है तो पाइपलाइन में कुछ प्रेशर चाहिए ना. देखिए, समझिए म्यूनिसिपैलिटी पानी आपके पास भेजती है, जहाँ उनका पंपिंग स्टेशन वहां से भेजती है, बड़े बड़े पाइपलाइन से आपके घर तक पाइपलाइन आती है. अगर उनका प्रेशर कम है तो आपके
डायरेक्ट గా हार्ट లో प्लॉट వచ్చేస్తుంది.
सभी चीजें हर एक पार्ट के लिए जाने के लिए उसके अंदर प्रेशर चाहिए. तो ब्लड प्रेशर जरूरी है,
योगा
प्रेशर होना जरूरी है. प्रेशर होना चाहिए. अभी वो प्रेशर होने के लिए पाइपलाइन में किसी ने ढकना है, वहां से पंपिंग स्टेशन वहां कहीं म्यूनिसिपैलिटी का, तभी तो आ रहा है ना. अपना पंपिंग स्टेशन कहाँ पे है? अपना पंपिंग स्टेशन वो है जो पंप कर रहा है, भेज रहा है. सो ऐसा है, देखिए वहां से पंप किया, ये लाइट बंद करके तुमको फ्लैश जरा अच्छी देखिए, ये ऊपर वाली से, हाँ रिलेटिवली. तो ऐसे एक बार हार्ट ने बीट किया, 1 बीट, आगे खून ढकला गया, दोबारा दूसरा बीट और खून ढकलता गया. तो नसों में कभी खून ढकला जाएगा, द हार्ट पंप्स, दैट टाइम प्रेशर विल गो अप, जरा नीचे आने लगेगा तब तक दूसरा बीट आगे इट विल गो. तो दैट्स व्हाई प्रेशर ऐसे हर एक सेकंड, एक फ्रैक्शन ऑफ अ सेकंड को सेम टू सेम है, चढ़ता है नीचे आता है, चढ़ता है नीचे आता है. That's why whenever we check pressure, we don't talk of one number. सबने आपने सुना होगा नंबर क्या होता है, प्रेशर कितना होता है, 120, 80, दो नंबर के लिए, मतलब जो ऊपर सबसे जाता है वो नीचे जाता है, वो 2 नंबर होते हैं. That's why that numbers are there. Okay, so अगर देखें तो उसका प्रेशर का ट्रेसिंग बहुत ज्यादा प्रकार का आ सकता है. ओके, हम लोग मापते कैसे हैं प्रेशर? आप जानते हैं, आप बोलेंगे डायरेक्ट मेजर करो ना, नस के अंदर प्रेशर है ना, उसे सुई डालो और मशीन को लगाओ, आ जाएगा. And we do it. If you have visited any of your friends, relatives in ICU of the hospital, कभी कभी आपने देखा होगा वहां रखा होता है, नस में सुई डाल के मशीन के ऊपर कंटिन्यूस प्रेशर आता है, each beat का every heartbeat shows the pressure there, because this will be used for patients who are in serious condition में बारीकी से प्रेशर देखना पड़ता है, ऊपर नीचे होता है, न्यूट्रल अकॉर्डिंग वो एक होता है, बट हर बार हम तो ऐसा नहीं कर सकते ना, तो देयर आर वेरियस वेज, वी नो व्हाट आर वेज। एक ऐसा मशीन होता है जिसमें मर्क्यूरी यानी पारा होता है, उसे हम लोग मापते हैं। तो आजकल क्या है, समथिंग हम लोग ऑलवेज थिंक ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट, these days it is the mercury or para is considered as bad for environment, मतलब जब ये उससे मापते प्रेशर को पेशेंट पे, हमको कुछ नहीं होगा, अल्टीमेटली whenever that mercury machine will be destroyed, where will that mercury go? जमीन में जाएगा, पानी में जाएगा, that is not good. So gradually the trend is not to use mercury, उसके बाद हमें मशीन मिलेगा ही नहीं, म्यूजियम में रखेगा ये वैसा मशीन। तो अभी व्हाट इज चेंजिंग ओवर व्हाट, आपने थोड़ी मशीन ऐसे भी देखी होगी, डायल होगी, उससे होता है। आप में से काफी लोगों ने देखा होगा कि अभी तो मशीन ऐसे होते हैं जो घर में चेकअप किया जाता है, इससे जरा बड़ा वर्जन होता है जो आजकल लोग आईसीयू में वापरते हैं, इस प्रकार से हम लोग माप सकते हैं। कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि पेशेंट कहता है डॉक्टर मैं आपके पास आता हूँ ना, मेरा प्रेशर हमेशा ज्यादा होता है, मेरा खुद के बहुत अच्छा होता है, इट मे नॉट बी रॉन्ग, बट हाउ डू आई नो ऐसा हो रहा है क्या डेली, कि ऐसा ही बोल रहा है, देन वी डू अ टेस्ट, उसमें क्या किया जाता है, पेशेंट को ऐसा एक मशीन बांधा जाता है, उसकी ट्यूब लगी रहती है छोटे से बक्से में, और वो मशीन पेशेंट का प्रेशर बार बार चेक करता है, नोबडी इज इन फ्रंट ऑफ द पेशेंट, पेशेंट घर में जा रहे हैं, अपना काम करता है, बाहर जा रहा है, सब करता है, मशीन बीच बीच में प्रेशर लेता है, एंड दैट वी हैव टू टाइम, कितने कितने टाइम से प्रेशर मापना चाहिए, आधे घंटे में, 1 घंटे में, या रात को नींद में जरा कम, दिन में जरा ज्यादा, व्हाटएवर, एंड दैट कैन बी रिकॉर्डेड, देन वी गेट ट्रेसिंग लाइक दिस, दिन में कैसा था, रात में कैसा था, एटसेट्रा। दिस इज कॉल्ड एज एम्बुलेटरी ब्लड प्रेशर मॉनिटरिंग। तो तभी पेशेंट के सामने कोई नहीं, उसमें ज्यादा है तो हम बोल सकते हैं क्या मेजर करते हो, डॉक्टर मेजर करेगा तो यहाँ कोई नहीं मेजर कर रहा, फिर भी ज्यादा है क्या कम है, व्हाटएवर, तो वी कैन फाइंड आउट। कभी कभी किसका तो ऐसा था ना कि रात में ड्रॉप होने के बदले पड़ता है, वी नो दैट इज नॉट राइट। ये सब करने के लिए टाइप का मशीन भी होता है, दैट इज हाउ वी कैन मेजर प्रेशर बाय वेरियस मोड्स। ओके, अभी ऐसा मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट ऑब्जर्वेशन होता है, ठीक है मेरे को ब्लड प्रेशर है, ये डायग्नोसिस कैसा होता है, मालूम कैसे पड़े, मेरे को कैसा तकलीफ क्या होता है, लोग समझते कि हेडेक होगा, मोस्ट पेशेंट से इफ माय प्रेशर गोज अप आई गेट हेडेक, तो जिसको हेडेक नहीं होगा वो चेक नहीं करता, मेरे को तकलीफ कुछ नहीं है, तो थोड़े लोग समझते चलता रहता है, तो हेडेक नहीं, तो वेरी फ्रीक्वेंटली व्हेन द पेशेंट गोज टू डॉक्टर एंड इसे आपका प्रेशर ज्यादा है, ऐसा कैसा मेरे को कभी चक्कर नहीं आता, मेरे को हेडेक नहीं होता है, ऐसा कैसा प्रेशर ज्यादा होता है, सम पीपल थिंक छाती में दुखता है, सांस फूलती है, प्रेशर बढ़ेगा तो, ओके, सम पीपल भी थकान होती है, पसीना होता है, प्रेशर ऊपर जाएगा तो, थोड़े थोड़े लोग तो क्या बोलते हैं मालूम है आपको, पेशेंट आते हैं, उसकी बीवी बोलती है आजकल बहुत चिल्लाने लगे, मेरे को लगता है प्रेशर बढ़ गया, तो ऐसा नहीं कि प्रेशर अंदर से बढ़ने की वजह से आदमी गर्म हो गया, उल्टा जरूर होता है, वो गर्म होने की वजह से प्रेशर बढ़ गया। क्योंकि देखिए दोस्तों, एक याद रखिए, प्रेशर जो मैंने आपको कहा उसका काम है शरीर को खून देना, जितना जरूरी है उतना देना, जब जरूरतें बढ़ेगी तो प्रेशर ने बढ़ना है, जब जरूरत कम हो तो उसने कम होना है। अभी आप हम लोग सब आराम से बैठे हैं, सबका प्रेशर अपना जरा अच्छी तरह से होगा, लेकिन सडनली मैडम बोलती है वो स्टूडेंट वो उठो जल्दी नीचे जाओ, कोई आए उसको रिसीव करो, जल्दी जल्दी भाग आ जाओ, शी रन्स एंड कम्स बैक एंड यू चेक हर प्रेशर अगेन, इट वुड बी द सेम, जो एक्टिविटी के दौरान बढ़ना ही है, इट कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग लाइक दिस, ओके। तो इस तरह से ये तकलीफ कुछ हो ऐसा जो लोग समझते हैं, ऐसा नहीं होता है, मोस्ट पेशेंट मजे में होते हैं, कोई तकलीफ नहीं,
ਚਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਪੀਣੀ, ਤੂੰ ਬਸ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਦੱਸ ਦੇ ਸੱਸ ਤੇਰੀ ਖਾਂਦੀ ਕੀ ਆ सारा दिन,
राइट।
और
इसके लिए तकलीफ महसूस नहीं होती, इसके जानते हैं आप क्या होता है, उसका नुकसान ये है, ये समझिए कुछ लोग हैं उनमें से आधे लोगों को मालूम ही नहीं होता कि उनको प्रेशर है, तकलीफ नहीं होती, इसके लिए वो चेक ही नहीं करते, तो मालूम ही नहीं होता है। इसके लिए मतलब ये जरा पॉइंटर नहीं, इसने इतना मुश्किल है, पॉइंटर से देखना, तो सुनिए तो आएगा ही नहीं, वही तो मैं कहाँ यहाँ है। तो जिनको है प्रेशर, तो उनमें से ज्यादातर काफी लोगों को मालूम ही नहीं होता है प्रेशर। अच्छा, किनको मालूम है लेकिन वो दवा नहीं लेते, हमको बहुत खुशी से बोलते हाँ है प्रेशर, लेकिन उनको कोई दवा नहीं देता। ऐसे बहुत अच्छा काम। There are some who know that got pressure, they are taking medicine, but not really controlling. And एक ऐसे थोड़े पेशेंट होते हैं जो जानते हैं प्रेशर है, दवा लेते एंड कंट्रोल भी। Now that number, unfortunately, as you see, is 1 in 7. If there are 7 patients of high blood pressure, one of them has controlled it well. Others are not controlled it well at all. And this is not with us only, this is universal. This is statistics, from all over the world, low income countries, medium income countries, rich countries, सब में वही है। और सब में एक ही देखा जाता है कि अवेयरनेस की भाई बीपी है, ऐसा लगभग हार्डली हाफ 50% पेशेंट्स हार्डली दे नो दैट दे हैव गॉट प्रेशर। जो है उनमें से आधे लोग दवा नहीं लेते और जो लेते हैं उनमें से आधे लोग कंट्रोल नहीं करते। तो एक्चुअली अल्टीमेटली लगभग आप देखेंगे लास्ट नंबर, अगर दूर से देखने में तकलीफ जरूर है आपको, लेकिन सभी आप देखेंगे 30% ही नहीं रीच होता है कि भाई जो कंट्रोल है उससे कम। On an average, 13% of all patients of high blood pressure are controlled well. ये तकलीफ कंट्रोल नहीं होता है because they are not aware. अवेयर है तो दवा नहीं लेते, दवा लेते तो भी कंट्रोल होने की नहीं लेते, सिर्फ दवा नाम के लिए लेते। फिर आप कहेंगे अगर तकलीफ होती ही नहीं है, आदमी को महसूस कुछ भी नहीं होता है, तो दवा लेना क्यों चाहिए? रहने दो ना, उसको छेड़ने का क्यों है? तकलीफ तो कुछ नहीं होता है। तो तकलीफ क्या होती है मैं आपको बताता हूँ। देखिए आपको ये नस दिखाई है, नस है, ओके, नॉर्मल है, प्रेशर नॉर्मल है, अंदर से साफ सुथरी रहती है, एकदम अच्छी रहती, कोई तकलीफ नहीं। अगर उसके अंदर का प्रेशर बढ़ने लगेगा तो इसके ऊपर दीवारों के ऊपर जो नस की दीवार है उसको तकलीफ होगी कि नहीं? अभी ये कमरा बहुत अच्छा है, देखिए छत कितना अच्छा है। मैं और किरण भाई उठते एक लंबे खंबे लेते, हम लोग उसको मारते हमेशा मारते रहते, वो अच्छा रहेगा। तो अगर ज्यादा प्रेशर है, अंदर से मारते रहता है, तो अंदर से नसें जरा खराब होने लगती है, ब्लॉक होने लगता है। कभी कभी वो प्रेशर की वजह से नसें फूगने लगती है, ऐसे फूग जाती है प्रेशर की वजह से, क्योंकि वो वहां की उसकी जो वेसल की वॉल है वीक होके अंदर की प्रेशर की वजह से फूगने लगती। और फिर ऐसे होगा तो वो नस जहां पे जा रही है, शरीर के उस हिस्से को अच्छा ब्लड कैसा देगी? नहीं देगी ना। फिर उसके लिए शरीर के उन हिस्सों को तकलीफ होती है। बोथ ऑर्गन्स गेट अफेक्टेड। विच ऑर्गन गेट अफेक्टेड? ब्रेन सबसे खराब है। वो ब्रेन को अगर इफेक्ट होता है तो फिर पैरालिसिस होना, ये तकलीफ होती है। आंखों में तकलीफ होती है, आंखों के पर्दों की, रेटिना ऑफ द आई, द ब्लड वेसल्स गेट अफेक्टेड। किडनी, गुर्दों की नसें खराब होती हैं, दिल की नसों में ज्यादा ब्लॉक आते हैं। हाई ब्लड प्रेशर इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट कॉमन रिस्क फैक्टर्स फॉर हार्ट डिजीज। हार्ट अटैक आने के लिए, स्ट्रोक होने के लिए, यानी पैरालिसिस वगैरह होने के लिए वो होता है। और कभी कभी तो प्रेशर की वजह से ब्रेन की नस अगर फट गई, ब्रेन में ब्लीडिंग हो गया, इट इज कॉल्ड एज हेमरेज इन द ब्रेन, तो ब्रेन का उतना हिस्सा खराब हो जाएगा, डैमेज होकर स्ट्रोक अगेन। सो इसके लिए दोस्तों प्रेशर को कंट्रोल में रखना होगा। वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ ब्लड प्रेशर की बीमारी होती है प्रेशर की वजह से। ऑफ कोर्स ब्लड प्रेशर इज नॉट द ओनली रीजन व्हिच कॉजेस वेसल डिसीज, बिकॉज़ बाकी भी बीमारियां होती है, जैसे उनको हम लोग रिस्क फैक्टर्स फॉर डिसीज ऑफ द ब्लड वेसल्स के कोई फैक्टर्स है वो हम लोग बदल नहीं सकते। एज फॉर एग्जांपल, जैसे जैसे हमारी उम्र बढ़ती है तो पाइपलाइन अंदर की पुरानी होने लगी, जरा खड़ेगी ना, खराब होती है। दैट इज एजिंग, दैट इज वन, दैट इज certain. Then men get vascular disease more than women. Okay, so women have men. तो बाकी लोग तुमको ज्यादा होता है। एंड मेन थिंग, हम गरीबों ने क्या किया है, हम उसी भगवान के बच्चे हैं, लेडीज हो या हम, और भगवान ऐसे पार्शलिटी क्यों करता है? तो हम बता क्या, भगवान कोई पार्शलिटी नहीं करता है, बता क्या वहां से हंसना है। गॉड्स कांट बी पार्शियल, but gods are kind to unborn life. समझिए कोई यंग वुमन है, उसके पेट में बच्चा है, अगर उसको हार्ट अटैक आएगा तो क्या हो जाएगा, बच्चे का क्या हो जाएगा, तो मदर का नहीं सोचा गया बच्चे का क्या हो जाएगा, नहीं होना चाहिए. You know, gods or nature, whatever you want to call it, is always kind to unborn life. पेड़ कहाँ से आते हैं? सीड से, बीज से. बीज कहाँ पे होती है? फल के अंदर. And most of the time covered well by a cover, बड़ा कवर होता है. बीज अंदर से होती है. पंछी हो या हम लोग फल खाते हैं, फेंक देते हैं वो, और वो जमीन में जाना चाहिए, वहीं से पौधा आना चाहिए. तो सिमिलरली बेबी इनसाइड मस्ट बी बॉर्न, यदि बच्चा होना चाहिए. इसके लिए वुमन एज लॉन्ग एज शी इज इन चाइल्ड बेयरिंग एज, तब तक शी इज गिवन दैट प्रोटेक्शन की आपकी नसें अच्छी रहेगी, ये प्रोटेक्शन दिया गया है. दैट मींस व्हाटएवर हार्मोन गिव्स द वुमन मंथली पीरियड also keeps the blood vessels clean while flowing in the blood. Once that age is over and menopause हो गया, then it is equal, क्योंकि वो हार्मोन अभी नहीं है, तो then equal. In fact, not equal, even get more, क्योंकि अभी तक इतने साल कुछ हुआ नहीं ना हार्ट का. वो तो उससे हार्ट डिसीज के बारे में हम लोग कितने पीछे पड़ गए, वो मर्द को इतने आगे चले गए, चलो जाते उनके साथ इक्वल हो. तो दोस्तों, एडवांसिंग एज, योर जेंडर, थोड़ी जेनेटिक फैक्टर्स. आपने देखा होगा कोई फैमिली में यंग एज में सबको अटैक आते हैं, और कोई फैमिली में सभी 80, 85, 90 चलते हैं. Friends, these three factors, though they are important, we can't change them. मैं ज्यादा से ज्यादा हेयर डाई लगाऊं, अंदर क्या होगा, चेंज नहीं होगा. If I am born man, I am born man. And if I got genes of disease, I can't change. These are called as non-modifiable factors. But modifiable factors, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, okay, शरीर का वजन, overweight and obesity, रूटीन डाइट जो हम लोग खाते हैं. आप कहेंगे इसका क्या मतलब, अभी तो वजन की बात हो गई, शुगर की हो गई, कोलेस्ट्रॉल, वापस डाइट क्यों? If my weight is okay and if I am not a diabetic, that doesn't mean that I can eat anything and everything. That food will also cause harm. तो मेरा रोज का खाना भी ठीक होना चाहिए. Then lack of exercise, मैं कोई एक्सरसाइज नहीं कर रहा हूँ, it's a bad risk factor. So therefore, there is a special talk on exercise today. Please remember, on diet also, you know. So, right? In fact, exercise is so important. Being physically active is so important. क्या मेरे सामने दो लोग लाके खड़े किए, एक थोड़ा सा ओवरवेट है लेकिन बहुत एक्टिव है, दूसरा जेनेटिकली पतला है, सिंगल खसी है पहले से ही, एक्सरसाइज कुछ नहीं करता है. तो व्हाट इज बेटर फॉर हार्ट? यदि ओवरवेट चलेगा बट विद एक्सरसाइज, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट्स व्हाई देयर इज स्पेशल टॉक बाय किरण भाई टुडे ऑन दैट. ओके, देन स्मोकिंग और टोबैको इन एनी फॉर्म. टोबैको इन एनी फॉर्म बोलना जरूरी होता है कि अपने यहाँ काफी लोग सिगरेट नहीं पीते, लेकिन that is common, so that is equally important. And last but not the least here, stress. यहाँ पे वो टेंशन का बात आता है. These are factors which are all important for disease of blood vessel. And why they are important is, if somebody has got high blood pressure and that is causing disease of the vessel in him, at the same time we have to also look for other factors कि ये इसमें कुछ है, उसका भी इलाज साथ में करो. सिर्फ ब्लड प्रेशर, वो प्रेशर के आंकड़े सिर्फ अच्छे नहीं करते, हमको वेसल को बचाना है. So therefore we have to also look at these factors. Okay, right. Now, special mention about diabetes and blood pressure. One reason is because high blood pressure is more common in diabetic individuals. Secondly, no, they have got more kidney disease, diabetes people. Again, that causes bad heart disease, bad blood pressure also. And blood pressure and diabetes दोनों साथ में हैं, तो हार्ट को, किडनी को बहुत ज्यादा तकलीफ देते हैं. So it's very important. Thirdly, sometimes it so happens in a diabetic individual कि वो जब लेटा हुआ है तो उसका प्रेशर नॉर्मल है या ज्यादा है, but when he stands up, BP drops, चक्कर आता है. और डॉक्टर को फोन पे कहता है, डॉक्टर मैं खड़ा हो जाता हूँ, मैं कुछ देर चक्कर आता है. डॉक्टर बोलते तेरा प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा, और गोली खा. The pressure drops further, this worsens. तो डायबिटीज के मरीज ने कभी कभी प्रेशर चेक करते वक्त लाइन डाउन एज वेल एज स्टैंडिंग पोजीशन में चेक करना जरूरी होता है, सो दैट वी नो वेदर इन दैट पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल वो डिफरेंस है या नहीं. ओके, सो इट इज दैट इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट. ये पहले बताया गया था, मैडम ने बताया. कि ब्लड प्रेशर के ऊपर जो स्टडी किया गया है कि भाई अपने देश में भी इतना ही है कि सिर्फ विदेशियों की बीमारी है। तो इट इज वेरी कॉमन। दिस स्टडी वाज पब्लिश्ड इन 2019 और अलग अलग एज ग्रुप को 18 से लेके 75 के ऊपर तक कि मर्दों में, औरतों में और टोटल मिलके कितना है। तो ऑफ कोर्स एज द एज एडवांस प्रेशर बढ़ता है, लेकिन देखेंगे आप तो जैसे जैसे 18 to 19 एज में भी ऑलमोस्ट 16% इंडिविजुअल्स हैड हाई ब्लड प्रेशर। 75 के ऊपर तो पूछो मत, मोर देन हाफ पीपल वेयर हैविंग हाई ब्लड प्रेशर। लेकिन सभी उम्र को साथ में रख के डाला देखा तो 34% ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स हैव गॉट हाई ब्लड प्रेशर। और ये ऐसा नहीं कि 100 लोगों में चेक करके रिजल्ट है, लगभग 1.25 लाख मेन थे, 60,000 वीमेन थे ये चेकअप में, और उसमें इन्होंने देखा गया है। दिस वाज पब्लिश्ड इन 2019, जस्ट 4 साल पहले। 4 सालों में हमने इसमें और भी तरक्की की होगी। इट मस्ट बी इवन मोर, इजंट इट? सो इट इज आवर प्रॉब्लम। आज ठीक हम लोग बोलते हैं भाई प्रेशर होता है, मानते हैं, व्हाट कैन बी डन, कैन वी डू एनीथिंग एट ऑल, देन विल डू। ओके, सब से दैट उसको कुछ क्योर कर सकते क्या? जैसे अपने वो भाई टीबी बोला, एक 9 महीना दवा दी, क्योर हो गया, अच्छा हो गया, ऐसा कुछ कर सकते हैं क्या? कोई बोलते जड़ से हटा दो ना उसको। देयर आर मेनी पेशेंट्स ऑफ माइन वो कहते हैं कि डॉक्टर आप ऐसा कुछ करो कि मेरा ब्लड प्रेशर 0 होना चाहिए। उनको कहना पड़ता है अगर मेरे करने से आपका प्रेशर 0 हो जाएगा तो मुझे फांसी पे लटका देंगे। मैंने आपको मार डाला, 0 सिर्फ देख के बात होता है। तो नो, so there are many misconceptions, है ना? Now some people say if you know the cause blood pressure का, हम कुछ कर सकते हैं, बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं। देखिए कभी कभी ये सब कॉजेस है, लेकिन आपको बताऊं, इफ यू ब्रिंग मी 100 पेशेंट्स ऑफ हाई ब्लड प्रेशर, उनमें से 5 लोगों में अंदर कुछ अलग बीमारी दिखेगी जिसकी वजह से प्रेशर बढ़ जाए। लगभग 95% में विल नॉट फाइंड एनी डेमोन्स्ट्रेबल कॉज, भाई ये डैमेज हो गया ना किडनी, इसके लिए प्रेशर। ओनली 5। सो दिस कॉजेज आर, कभी कभी आपने देखा होगा, मैडम ने बताया कभी बहुत बच्चों में भी प्रेशर होता है। वन ऑफ द रीजंस फॉर दैट इज कोई पैदाइशी बीमारी होती है, दिल से मोटी नस निकलती है पूरे शरीर को जाने वाली, उसमें कई ब्लॉक होता है पैदाइश। और फिर ऐसा होता है कि ब्लॉक के पहले तो प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा और ब्लॉक के आगे कम, क्योंकि ब्लॉक के आगे तो खून कम जा रहा है। तो हमें हमेशा दिखता है कि वो बच्चे में हाथों में प्रेशर ज्यादा, पैरों में डाउन, एकदम लो, पैरों में नस भी नहीं लगती है, ऊपर है, वो एक बच्चों में कारण हो सकता है। वैसे ही किडनी और प्रेशर का बहुत गहरा संबंध है। किडनी को अगर खून कम जाएगा, कोई भी किडनी का नस जो है किडनी को खून देने वाला, उसमें भी ब्लॉक है, प्रेशर बढ़ जाता है। किडनी की दूसरी भी कोई बीमारी हो, प्रेशर बढ़ जाता है। किडनी के ऊपर एक ग्लैंड होती है, एड्रिनल ग्लैंड कहते हैं, सम ऑफ यू हैव स्टडीड साइंस, यू नो, एड्रिनल ग्लैंड, उसकी बीमारी की वजह से प्रेशर हो सकता है। कभी थायराइड की वजह से होता है। ब्रेन के अंदर एक पिट्यूटरी नाम की एक ग्रंथि है, उसकी बीमारी से भी प्रेशर बढ़ सकता है। अच्छा, और आजकल जैसा बताया गया, ये बीमारी जो है ज्यादा करके लाइफस्टाइल डिसीज कहलाई जाता है। लाइफस्टाइल मतलब हमारा जीवन का रहने का रहन सहन का ढंग जो है, हमारी उसमें गलतियां जो है, उसकी वजह से प्रेशर बढ़ता है। और उसमें काफी बीमारी है, कोई कैंसर भी है, जैसे समझे लंग कैंसर, किडनी वाले को होगा ना,
अरे झूम कर ना यार, काय लिहिलंय हे? येडं काहीतरी येड्यासारखं काय लिहिलंय?
हम अपने कुछ करने से प्रेशर को अपने ऊपर लेते हैं। क्या क्या है
अरे थांबा,
आजकल का लाइफस्टाइल क्या है? देखिए अपने आप को नहीं देखिए क्या करते हैं, नो सोशल लाइफ, नो एक्सरसाइज, रेगुलर खाने का टाइम कुछ नहीं है, अच्छा तरह से सोते नहीं है। ओके, टाइम इज बीइंग कन्वर्टेड इनटू मनी, चलो भागो भागो, ज्यादा काम करो। आजकल कोई भी किसी को भी 9 to 5 काम करते हुए दिखता ही नहीं, सब करते हो आजकल ऑनलाइन काम करते होते हैं, रात को 12 बजे भी काम करते हैं। ऐसा सब काम का चल रहा है, खुद को नहीं देखते हैं। तो फिर ग्लोबलाइजेशन, ब्लड प्रेशर हो जाता है। और क्या होता है, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया, थोड़ा जेनेटिक्स होता है। अगर माँ में है, बाप में है, तो बच्चों को होना संभव है। लेकिन जैसा जैसा अपना वजन ज्यादा होता है, वजन, तो ओवरवेट एंड ओबेसिटी इज द रिस्क फैक्टर फॉर हाई ब्लड प्रेशर। जैसे वजन बढ़ता है तो प्रेशर को बढ़ना ही है ना, फिर ज्यादा जगह पे ब्लड लेके जाना है तो प्रेशर बढ़ेगा ना। ये बिल्डिंग में आप और 2 माले ऊपर चढ़ोगे, अगर पानी के टंकी का प्रेशर अपने नीचे से बढ़ाने तो उनको पानी नहीं मिलेगा, तो प्रेशर बढ़ता है, और वो वजन कम करने से प्रेशर विल कम डाउन ऑल्सो. डाइट, क्वालिटी डाइट, आई विल नॉट गिव डिटेल्स बिकॉज मैडम बताने वाली है हमको थोड़ी देर में. खास करके नमक लेते, वी ऑल नो अबाउट इट. ड्रिंकिंग अल्कोहल, too much of alcohol increases blood pressure. Smoking, वो कॉम्बिनेशन में और बीमारी तो करता है, बट बाय itself also increases pressure. Being a couch potato, बैठे रहने का, कोई हिलना चलने का नहीं, तो pressure increases. That's why exercise is important. And tension, these are also the risk factors for high blood pressure. And one more important thing, which is very common, which is less understood, but you know what? स्नोरिंग. लोग सोचते हैं स्नोरिंग मतलब क्या है. अरे स्नोरिंग में क्या तकलीफ है. घर वाले तो क्या कहते हैं, वो अच्छा सोता है, तकलीफ हमको ही है. फ्रेंड्स, नो. व्हाट इज स्नोरिंग? स्नोरिंग यानी सांस की आवाज है ना, ब्रीदिंग की आवाज है. अभी ये रूम में इतने लोग हम लोग बैठे हैं, कोई ऑनलाइन देखते देखते सो गए, उसका स्नोरिंग वहां पे हो सकता है, बट हमारे यहाँ पे तो कोई आवाज नहीं है. इतने लोग सांस लेते तो आवाज क्यों नहीं है? When will sound come with breath? Only when there is obstruction. अगर obstruction आया तो स्नोरिंग होगी. obstruction नहीं हुआ तो कोई स्नोरिंग नहीं है. तो obstruction अगर आया तो कहेंगे तो फिर क्या है? obstruction है तो क्या करना पड़ेगा उस आदमी को? सांस तो लेनी है ना, ताकत लेके ले लेना है ना, श्वास तो लेना है. हेल्दी बॉडी अदरवाइज है, ताकत लगा के श्वास ले लेगा, मिल जाता है, श्वास तो मिल जाता है. लेकिन क्या हुआ, नींद में आराम कहाँ हुआ? नींद में ताकत लगा रहे, आराम हुआ ही नहीं. और मैंने आपको पहले क्या बोला, आप कोई भी एक्सरसाइज करते हो तो एक्सरसाइज के दौरान तो प्रेशर में बढ़ना ही है. तो नींद में प्रेशर डाउन होने के बदले नींद में प्रेशर अप. तो दिस विल वेक्स अप ओनली विद हाई बीपी. अगर हाई बीपी के साथ होता है, काम भी करने लगे तो और बढ़ता है. So friends, snoring, or when it is not minor snoring which reaches a proportion which is called as obstructive sleep apnea. Apnea का मतलब difficult breathing, जो obstruction की वजह से नींद में होता है, it is called as obstructive sleep apnea, and that's a strong risk factor for high blood pressure. Not only for just high blood pressure, but कभी-कभी प्रेशर की दवा, पेशेंट को दवा हम देते प्रेशर नीचे नहीं आता है, बोलते क्या हो गया, तो दिस कैन बी अ कॉज ऑफ रेजिस्टेंट हाइपरटेंशन. सो रिमेंबर दिस, राइट. एक वर्ड अबाउट प्रेगनेंसी एंड हाइपरटेंशन. आपने काफी सुना होगा कि प्रेगनेंसी के दौरान प्रेशर बढ़ जाता है. सबका नहीं बढ़ता है, ज्यादातर औरतों का नहीं बढ़ता है, लेकिन बढ़ता है. और फिर उसका क्या है, देखिए ब्लड प्रेशर की वजह से थोड़ी औरतों में बढ़ता है सच, लेकिन बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि एक्चुअली उस औरत को प्रेशर था, कभी चेक ही नहीं हुआ था. प्रेगनेंसी के दौरान तो आप जानते हैं कि डॉक्टर बार बार चेक करते हैं, तभी मालूम पड़ता है. कभी क्या होता है, आपको ये जानना जरूरी है, प्रेगनेंसी के पहले 3 महीनों में प्रेशर ड्रॉप होता है. एक्चुअली इट बिकम्स लोअर देन नॉर्मल. तो पहली बार अगर उसी टाइम पे प्रेग्नेंट है मालूम होने के बाद डॉक्टर के पास जाते तभी प्रेशर अच्छा दिखता है. बाद में 3-4 महीने चढ़ गए, प्रेशर लगता है तो लगता है प्रेगनेंसी की वजह से हो गया, लेकिन वो पहले था मालूम ही नहीं था. ये भी हो सकता है, लेकिन कभी कभी प्रेगनेंसी में भी बढ़ता है, प्रेगनेंसी की वजह से बढ़ता है ये. लेकिन इसका थोड़ा सा फर्क ये है कि सभी दवाइयां जो बाकी पेशेंट को दे सकते हो प्रेगनेंसी नहीं दे सकते, क्योंकि दवा भी अंदर के बच्चे को और माँ को सेफ होनी जरूरी है, वो जानना जरूरी होता है. अच्छा, डाउट भी है प्रेगनेंसी है या नहीं है तो आपको बताना जरूरी होता है. या कोई औरत है जिसको ब्लड प्रेशर पहले से है एंड नाउ शी इज प्लानिंग प्रेगनेंसी, शी मस्ट टेल द डॉक्टर कि नाउ आई एम प्लानिंग प्रेगनेंसी. तो दवाइयां उसके मुताबिक बदलनी पड़ती है, सब दवा नहीं दे सकते. सो दैट इज व्हाई इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, राइट. अभी हम सभी ने प्रेशर कब चेक करना चाहिए, वो एक पॉइंट होता है. मुझे कोई बीमारी नहीं है, मैंने प्रेशर चेक करना है कि नहीं करना है. आपकी उम्र अगर 18 और 30 में से है, आप में से काफी लोगों की वही है, और आपको कोई प्रेशर वगैरह नहीं है, 2-2 साल में एक बार तो चेक करके देखिए कि भाई वो ठीक है. अच्छा, अभी उम्र 18 से 30 है, लेकिन रिस्क फैक्टर फॉर ब्लड प्रेशर है, मतलब आपका वजन ज्यादा हो या फैमिली हिस्ट्री है, तो एवरी ईयर इवन इफ इट इज नॉर्मल प्लीज चेक. ओके, राइट. अबाउट 30 इयर्स इवन इफ देयर इज नो रिस्क, स्टिल एवरी ईयर यू प्लीज चेक. ओके, above 30 years और risk factors है, every 6 months you must check. And anybody having blood pressure, irrespective of age, it should be checked very frequently. मैं तो सबको बोलता हूँ कि घर में आप मशीन रख के चेक करो, मिनिमम वंस वीक तो चेक करो, चेक करने 2 मिनट लगते हैं. पीपल डोंट चेक. हाँ मशीन है मेरे घर में, चेक कब किया था, एक दूसरे को पूछ. नो, इनफैक्ट आई टेल देम 2-3 times a week, so at least once a week तो चेक हो जाता है. Checking is very essential, extremely essential, because just taking medicine is not enough. Controlling pressure is important. Okay. Now you know something. All over the world there are guidelines telling us कि diagnosis कैसे करो, दवा कैसे करो. So we guidelines keep coming. They come after various studies. 2003 से लेके अलग-अलग guidelines आ गई है. Recent guidelines 2020 में आ गई, जो हम लोग फॉलो करते हैं. उसके मुताबिक क्या है? ये इंटरनेशनल गाइडलाइंस. उसमें बहुत कंट्री, जैसा मैडम ने बताया, इतनी कंट्रीज उसके पार्ट है, 80 कंट्रीज. दे ऑल कम टुगेदर टू डिसाइड कि हाई ब्लड प्रेशर क्या है. तो ये कहा जाता है कि हम सभी का 130 और 85 के अंदर, बिलो 130 85 होना चाहिए. दैट इज नॉर्मल प्रेशर. अच्छा, 130 के बदले 131 हो गया तो हो गया क्या? हाइपरटेंशन. इमीडिएटली एक नंबर से बढ़ा को नो. इफ इट इज बिटवीन 130 एंड 140 या वहां से 85-90 के बीच में है, तो वी से दैट हाई नॉर्मल है. नॉर्मल बट जरा हाई साइड को है, तो लेट मी स्टार्ट टेकिंग केयर अभी से. वंस इट इज अबव 140/90, देन वी से दैट यस है 140-90 के ऊपर गया है, इट इज हाई प्रेशर. एंड वंस इट गोस अबव 160/100, जरा एडवांस हो गया, ग्रेड 2 हो गया. So this is important. And while controlling, we don't only look at the number, but we also look at additional factors. क्या है भाई इसमें? दूसरे फैक्टर भी, रिस्क फैक्टर जो हमने बात की इसमें, वो है क्या? तो टेक मोर केयर, क्योंकि रिस्क बढ़ जाती है आदमी की, तो अकॉर्डिंगली यू विल कंट्रोल बेटर एंड बेटर. ओके. Whenever doctor advise you test any blood pressure patient, this कुछ टेस्ट करना चाहिए. इनिशियली तो करते हैं क्योंकि टू फाइंड आउट वेदर पेशेंट हैज गॉट एनी कॉज फॉर हाई ब्लड प्रेशर. कॉज है. Here we also do test to see whether blood pressure has caused some damage to the organ already. ECG करो, एको करो, कोई हार्ट के ऊपर कोई असर ऑलरेडी हुआ है क्या, वो देखिए. आंखों के अंदर देखिए ऑलरेडी, इससे फंडोस्कोपी के आंख का डॉक्टर आपके नजदीक एकदम आके आंख के अंदर झांक के देखता है, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज फंडोस्कोपी. देखते हैं आंखों के पर्दे के ऊपर कोई तकलीफ है क्या. हम लोग सोनोग्राफी करके देखते हैं भाई किडनी ठीक है ना, किडनी का ब्लड फ्लो कैसे है, वो चेक करते हैं. ब्लड टेस्ट बार बार करते हैं, वो बार बार भी बाद में करते हैं, खास करके किडनी का टेस्ट, क्योंकि किडनी और ब्लड प्रेशर का गहरा संबंध है. वो कैन कॉज ईच अदर, नो, लाइक किडनी कैन कॉज हाई ब्लड प्रेशर कैन कॉज डैमेज टू द किडनी ऑल्सो. वो बार बार चेक करना होता है. सो देयर फॉर दैट रीजन, नहीं तो आई सीन पेशेंट, मेरा प्रेशर चेक करो, मेरे को दूसरा कोई नहीं है, आप ये टेस्ट करो वो टेस्ट करो, क्यों कहते हैं. और खास करके ये देखना होता है बाकी फैक्टर है क्या, ब्लड प्रेशर भी है साथ में, इसमें डायबिटीज है क्या, तो चेक करो. शुगर नहीं, मेरा शुगर क्यों, मेरे को प्रेशर है, करना होता है. कोलेस्ट्रॉल चेक करो, साथ में है क्या, वी हैव टू प्रोटेक्ट वेसल्स, प्लीज रिमेंबर, राइट. नाउ ये करने से, हमने बोला लाइफस्टाइल, ये सब करने से रियली फर्क पड़ता है. डाइट से वगैरह ऐसा ही बोलने का फर्क पड़ता है. साइंस है गुड. आपने वेट अच्छा किया तो अपने हर 10 किलो लॉस में आपका ब्लड प्रेशर 5 से 20 मिलीमीटर से कम हो सकता है. वेट कंट्रोल इज दैट इंपॉर्टेंट. डैश मतलब देयर विल बी full talk on DASH. DASH is just long form. I tell you dietary approaches to stop hypertension. वो डाइट से क्या क्या हो सकता है. So that certainly helps. नमक कम करने से होता है, एक्टिव रहने से होता है. There will be another full talk. अल्कोहल एक्चुअली वो कहते हैं कम करने से प्रेशर नहीं चलता, मैं तो कहता हूँ बंद करो. एंड अभी आपने रिसेंटली अखबार में पढ़ा होगा, टाइम्स में फर्स्ट पेज पे अबाउट अ मंथ है इट हैड कम. Any amount is not safe. Any amount of alcohol is not safe for anything. Even if I have to restrict myself for heart, it's not good. Now forget, I'm not discussing about what happens to brain and what happens to liver and what happens to pancreas, what happens to cancers. For heart also it is not safe. So not to recommend alcohol for anything. Apart from this, having good sleep, very important. Having good family life. Okay. Picnics manao, masti karo, important. Your hobbies, whatever they are. पेंटिंग हो, म्यूजिक हो, सिंग, आप खुद गाना गाते हो, गाना सुनते हो, दोस्तों के साथ गप्पा मारते हो, सब कुछ, एवरीथिंग हेल्प्स यू बिकॉज दैट ब्रिंग्स डाउन योर स्ट्रेस, प्रेशर बिकम्स बेटर आल्सो. हैविंग गुड, some laughter clubs also, you must have seen group activity together. In short, मस्ती करो, मस्ती करो। You know, we have to all do our work seriously. जब काम करते तो seriously करेंगे ना, क्यों नहीं करेंगे? But that doesn't mean that we have to have long hair all the time. Other time, मस्ती करो. Let's have life. Work should be only part of your good life. Good part of life also, but good part of the life only, not entire life. So अच्छा life भी रहना चाहिए. And yoga also will be very helpful. I'm sure Kiran will talk a little about that also. What about tablets? Always question of the tablets. Yeah, tablets के बारे में इतनी गलतफहमियां हैं जितनी मैंने और कुछ नहीं देखी. I'm not going to tell you what tablets we give, but please remember, लोगों का दवा लेने का कि नहीं लेने का, है ना? एक बार लिया तो हर हमेशा मिनिच पड़ती है, इसके लिए मैं नहीं लेता हूँ. Once taken, you just cannot stop. Friends, दवा का चक नहीं लगता है, दवा की आदत नहीं पड़ती है. लेकिन ब्लड प्रेशर बीमारी ऐसी एक बार लगी तो अपने आप नहीं जाने वाली है. बेचारी बोली तो उसका मतलब you should be happy that there is some medicine which will make it normal. There should be, ऐसा some people say. एक पेशेंट मेरे बोल रहा था, मैं सवेरे गोलियां देखता हूँ तो ऐसा लगता है उसको उठा के फेंक दो. मैंने बोला बहुत फेंक दो. नहीं फेंकूंगा तो मुझे बाद में बहुत तकलीफ होती है. अरे मालूम है ना, जो तकलीफ कम करने वाले उसको क्यों फेंक देना है? Most patients hate medicines, unfortunately, rather than hating the disease. Medicines are there to help you. So if required, I'm not saying that supply लेनी चाहिए. If required, medicine should be taken. बिल्कुल ही नहीं. लोग बोलते सिम्टम होगा, मैं मुझे ना यहाँ सर में टक्कर होता है तो मैं गोली खा लेता हूँ प्रेशर की. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. Check BP. If it is controlled well, nobody is going to add medicines. Okay. Some people also see blood pressure की दवाई. मेरी बीवी को भी प्रेशर, उसको 2 ही गोलियां दी है, मेरे को 5-5 क्यों है? सबका प्रेशर सेम नहीं है. तो वो आप इट हैज टू बी इंडिविजुअलाइज्ड. वैसी होनी चाहिए. नहीं दवा के साइड इफेक्ट होते हैं, इसके लिए मैं दवा नहीं देता. नाउ सी एज डॉक्टर्स वी विल नॉट से दैट साइड इफेक्ट नेवर होता. यस, साइड इफेक्ट मतलब आप चाहते हो तो सिर्फ प्रेशर लीजिए लो, लेकिन वो गोली ने जाके वो उसको बेचारे को मालूम है थोड़ी, वहां जाके इसको काम करो, आजू बाजू देखो भी मत. ऐसा तो नहीं थोड़ा आजू बाजू में कुछ करती है. इफ इट इज अनडिजायरेबल साइड इफेक्ट वी हैव टू चेंज मेडिसिन. But no medicine will cause side effect in 100% individuals. ऐसी कोई नहीं है. नहीं तो ऐसे गोली रहेगी नहीं मार्केट में. They'll throw it out. So therefore, medicine friends should be taken. So when I say it should be taken, not taking medicine is allowing the disease to do damage to the organs. Drug treatment has to be individualized, and doctor should be informed about other diseases also. Some people say, "मैंने मालूम नहीं, मैं तो आपको दूसरा भी बोल रहा है. आप सिर्फ प्रेशर का दवाई कर रहे हैं." Some medicines have been changed according to other conditions. Okay, on your own you should never change the medicine. And side effect, if you feel, it should be ignored. Patients should check pressure at home regularly. How it should be checked also is told to us by International Society of Hypertension. Don't check immediately after any activity. आप अभी दौड़ के आ गए तुरंत नहीं चेक करना. It will be high. आधा घंटा लगेगा. अभी भी आप खाना खा के उठे हो, wait for half an hour. Okay, after any activity, wait for some time, then you check. Sitting position में आराम से सर को हाथ टेबल पे आराम से रखा है, अपने फीट भी टेके हुए हैं, फीट फ्लैट ऑन द फ्लोर. उसके बाद एक 5 मिनट शांत बैठो, फिर वो अपना मशीन का बटन दबाओ. मशीन का बटन दबाने के बाद मशीन के आंकड़े फट बढ़ने लगते हैं, उनको वो देखो, बिकॉज देखो मच अबव योर लेवल. वो देख के कभी कभी पेशेंट इतना बढ़ रहा है, इतना बढ़ रहा है, वो देख के प्रेशर अंदर से रिलीज होता है. So don't look at that. Only when it stops, then you check. Write it down. Write it down on the chart. Date, time, और आपके मशीन के ऊपर 3 आंकड़े आते हैं वो कैसे हैं. So next time when you meet the doctor, show it to the doctor. You don't have to check 10 times a day. Different times. कभी इस मॉर्निंग किया, कभी इवनिंग किया. So that doctor gets idea कि मैं इनका प्रेशर कैसा रहता है. Okay, correct. Lastly, word about low blood pressure. क्योंकि किरण भाई मैं डिस्कस कर रहे थे कल. हमेशा हम लोग ब्लड प्रेशर के ऊपर कभी टॉक देते हैं. क्वेश्चन में पहला क्वेश्चन होता है लो ब्लड प्रेशर क्या होता है. तो फ्रेंड्स, यस, लो ब्लड प्रेशर इज कॉल्ड एज हाइपोटेंशन. आप समझ सकते हैं कि अगर हाइपर है ज्यादा तो हाइपो इज लो. तो व्हेन ब्लड प्रेशर इज लो देन इट इज कॉल्ड एज हाइपो. तो अगर 120/80 नॉर्मल बोला तो हाइपोटेंशन क्या हो गया? 115/75 हो गया क्या हाइपोटेंशन? कि 110/70 किसको लो किसको बोले? अगर सिर्फ नंबर ही बोलना है तो 90/60 से नीचे है तो इट इज हाइपोटेंशन. ओके, 90/60 से नीचे होगा तो हम लोग कहेंगे कि हाइपोटेंशन है. But more importantly, सिर्फ 18 important नहीं है, because we are all born with pressure of 80/50. Okay, so therefore not just the number, but वो लो ब्लड प्रेशर से, जैसे म्यूनिसिपालिटी से लो प्रेशर होगा, इसके लिए आपको टैप में पानी नहीं आ रहा है क्या, तो वो प्रेशर लो है ना, आपको अच्छी तरह दबा दबा पानी मिल रहा है, तो आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम है, प्रेशर रहने दो ना लो. सो इसके लिए जस्ट नॉट लो ब्लड प्रेशर, बट वेदर इट इज गिविंग इनफ ब्लड टू ऑल द ऑर्गन्स. अगर कोई प्रेशर से आदमी को चक्कर आ रहा है बिकॉज ब्रेन इज नॉट गेटिंग इनफ ब्लड, yes, then that pressure is good for that particular person. Otherwise, with 90/60 also people will be moving around as कोई तकलीफ नहीं. अगर पेशाब कम हो रहा है एकदम, अभी किडनी में खून कम जाता है, किडनी इज नॉट फ्लोइंग, यू नो दैट प्रेशर इज लो. सी, लो प्रेशर अपने आप ऐसा नहीं होता है. ठीक है, मैं दवा दे रहा हूँ, दवा का असर अगर ज्यादा होकर लो हो गया तो हमें देखना जरूर है. या किसी कोई बीमारी होती है उसकी वजह से लो, कभी बहुत सीरियस बीमारी से कॉम्प्लिकेशन होकर लो प्रेशर होता है, उनको एडमिट करना पड़ता है, उसको प्रेशर बढ़ाने की दवा देनी पड़ती है. दैट इज डिफरेंट. जो मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले आपको बताया, डायबिटीज के मरीज को कभी कभी लेटे लेटे ज्यादा, खड़े होकर कम होता है. वी कॉल इट एज पोस्चरल हाइपोटेंशन. पोस्चर चेंज किया, लेटा हुआ खड़ा हो गया, ड्रॉप हो गया. ओके, सो दैट कैन नॉट ओनली हैपन ओनली इन डायबिटीज, बट इट कैन आल्सो हैपन इन सम नर्व डिसीज. आपने पार्किंसनिज्म सुना होगा, इसमें भी कभी कभी ऐसा हो सकता है. कोई हमारी थोड़ी दवा से ऐसा होता है कि बीपी स्टैंडिंग कम होता है. So it has to be checked, that has also to be controlled. And अगर दो प्रेशर में फर्क है तो we take lower BP as the patient BP, और नीचे नहीं करना. So in short, what I will tell you is hypertension is a common condition. ध्यान में रखिए, it's not a rare condition. It doesn't cause symptoms, मालूम नहीं पड़ता है तो चेकअप करवाना होता है. Getting it checked is the only way to detect it. Long-term effects of uncontrolled diabetes and uncontrolled blood pressure are bad on the organs. It should be controlled. To large extent, it is related to lifestyle. When advised by doctor, doing test is advisable. Then drugs are not bad. Disease is bad. So when required, take drugs. And good lifestyle, drugs, and when required, regular checking is the key to good health. So with that, World Hypertension Day as was told to us every 17th May. This started being observed since 2005. 2005 में पहली बार जब किया ना, that was done on 14th of May. और उन्होंने तभी प्लान किया कि नेक्स्ट ईयर ऑनवर्ड 17 में से करेंगे. तो 17th में एवरी ईयर इट इज, एंड द रीजन ओनली इज दैट मेक पीपल अवेयर कि भाई प्रेशर ऐसा होता है, तो ऐसी चर्चा होती है. तो ठीक है, सपोज आप 100 लोगों के सामने बात किया, उनमें से 5 लोग भी याद करके आजू बाजू को बताएंगे डिसीज, तो इट्स गुड. सो इट स्प्रेड्स, एंड फॉर दैट इट इज ऑब्जर्व्ड, एंड एज डिस्कस्ड, मेजर योर ब्लड प्रेशर एक्यूरेटली, कंट्रोल इट एंड लिव लॉन्गर. मैं एक बार आगे जाता हूँ, मैं बोलता हूँ कंट्रोल इट वेल, मेजर इट, कंट्रोल इट वेल, ओके, एंड सिर्फ लिव लॉन्गर नहीं, लिव हेल्दियर. इट्स नॉट ओनली फॉर लिविंग लॉन्ग. समटाइम्स आई डाउट वेदर वी डॉक्टर्स गिव लॉन्ग लाइफ टू एनीबॉडी. आवर पर्पस इज टू गिव बेटर क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ, और वो कर सके तो वी हैव रियली सक्सीडेड, इजंट इट? ओके फ्रेंड्स, थैंक यू. थैंक यू. टाइम बक करने की आदत है, तो एक बार शुरू पड़ा तो शुरू ही हो गया.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ambadekar. Thank you, sir, for shedding light on the causes and the risk factors for hypertension, and doing that in such an interesting and an innovative manner. I'm sure we learned a lot, and we also enjoyed your session a lot, sir. We did not even realize that, it's been so long. Let's give sir a huge round of applause. Sir has been amazing speaker. So if you allow us, can we take 2 or 3 questions from our audience?
They have first their talks and then because they didn't get any questions. And some answers will come from their talks.
Okay, sure. Okay, so after this amazing enlightening session by Dr. Ambadekar, he has something really interesting in store for all of you. We are going to be doing an activity now. And this is not just any informative activity, it is also going to be a lot of fun. So I hand over to Mrs. Neha Sandarkar for conducting the activity.
Thank you sir for such an enlightening talk. So sir के talk के दौरान सर ने हमें कहा डाइट, और डाइट में भी सर ने हमें कहा नमक. अब नमक में भी 2 कंपोनेंट होता है, एक होता है सोडियम और एक होता है क्लोराइड. तो जो बोलते हैं सोडियम क्लोराइड, साइंटिफिकली सॉल्ट को, तो जो सोडियम कंपोनेंट होता है ना, वो हमारा ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ाता है, ना कि क्लोराइड। तो हमने आपको एक लिस्ट दी है जिसमें बहुत सारे फूड लिखे गए हैं। हम चाहते हैं कि आप उसमें मार्क करें आपके हिसाब से कि उस लिस्ट में कौन सा फूड हाई सोडियम है, आपके हिसाब से कौन से फूड में मीडियम सोडियम है और कौन सा फूड लो सोडियम है। तो आपको पेन भी दिए गए हैं, तो आप सिर्फ हाई, मीडियम या लो, यानी ज्यादा, मीडियम और कम सोर्स है सोडियम के उन लिस्ट ऑफ फूड्स में। इसके आंसर हम आपको भक्ति मैडम के टॉक के बाद बताएंगे, क्योंकि शायद आपके जो आंसर्स होंगे भक्ति मैडम के टॉक में आधे से ज्यादा कवर हो जाएंगे। तो आंसर हम आपको भक्ति मैम के टॉक के बाद बताएंगे, पर जब तक भक्ति मैम को हम इनवाइट करते हैं, आपको हम इसके पहले 5 मिनट देते हैं और उतने देर में हम भक्ति मैम को भी इनवाइट करते हैं स्टेज पे टू गिव द नेक्स्ट टॉक व्हिच इज ऑन ईटिंग राइट इन हाइपरटेंशन। तो आई रिक्वेस्ट आरवा कि 2 मिनट हम आपको दें, 5 मिनट हम आपको देते हैं ये सॉल्व करने के लिए। उसके बाद में भक्ति को आरवा इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच।
Audience, I also have a very kind request. If we could just turn off our phones and keep them inside. We don't want our phones ringing during the interesting session, right? Yeah, so please turn your phones off or put it on silent mode, please. Are we able to do the activity? Are we finding it interesting? I'm sure all of you will learn something really new out of it. Okay, so let's go ahead to our next esteemed speaker for the day. This is dietitian Mrs. Bhakti Samant. Mrs. Bhakti has completed her master's in dietetics. She is also a registered dietitian, and currently Mrs. Bhakti is working as the chief dietitian at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital and Research Center. Mrs. Bhakti is also the joint secretary of the Indian Association of Parenteral and Enteral Nutrition, that is IPEN Mumbai chapter, and she is also the chief coordinator for Eastern Training Center at the Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. She is also affiliated with a lot of organizations such as Indian Diabetic Association, Association of Diabetes Educators, and Indian Association of Enteral and Parenteral Nutrition. Mrs. Bhakti also has several certifications from both esteemed national and international organizations as well as universities. So let's welcome Mrs. Bhakti with a huge round of applause.
Hello. Yeah.
So after Sir's talk, I mean, Sir has raised the bar, So it's going to be like we have to try and match up. But a lot of things that Sir has already spoken about in the talk has given a background to what I am going to talk next. But before that, I would like to thank LSI as well as NSI for giving me this platform or inviting me today on this dais to talk. And it's a proud moment for me because I have my seniors who are sitting, today in the audience, and all of you all who are quite senior to me. So thank you so much, ma'am, for having me here. Okay. So yeah, like, man spoke about, we are, now there are more and more such days that are, as an awareness, which we are coming up with. There will be a World Hypertension Day, there is Diabetes Day, there is a Kidney Day, there is Diabetes Awareness Day, there is a Pulmonary or a COPD Day. So, I mean, there are more and more awareness programs needed, but this also is telling us one thing, that there is an increase in these metabolic problems, which is why is the need कि हमको इन चीजों के बारे में बात करने की जरूरत है. We have to make people aware. So right now, yes, we have a lot of our crowd which have joined us online. But there are a lot of students also who are going to be in future practicing. And Sir pointed out some very, lively comments from what we hear from our patients and, the kind of explanations that we have to give them, which is way beyond of what we study on paper or what we study in theory. So my talk will be very practical. Practical aspects is what I'm going to cover about. So, yeah. Like man said, globalization of what? So what we are looking at today is, ये सारी चीजें क्यों बढ़ रही है? We are seeing there is increase in metabolic disorders, increase in diabetes, increase in hypertension, increase in cardiovascular disease. Like Sir said, the age is just coming down. I think I have a hypertension patient. The youngest patient whom I've been consulting is, I think he started consulting me from when he was 17-year-old, and he's already a pre-diabetic, and he was put on antihypertensive drugs. And the root cause, what we found was his lifestyle, his weights, and exercise, which was lacking. And all we did was कि हमने ये चीजें सिर्फ correct की, and he was off the medication. So this is the impact of the lifestyle factors जो हम बात करने वाले हैं आज. So one of the reasons why we see this कि आज के generation में ये बढ़ते जा रहा है. एक तो irregular working hours. Like all of us in whichever field we are, even as students, there are deadlines. There are deadlines to finish projects. There are deadlines to finish, presentations. When you talk of, even when we do a 9-to-5 job, it's not a 9-to-5 job at all. And for dietitians, so it's never a 9-to-5 job. It's always a shift job if we are working in a hospital. So each one of us is running, trying to finish tasks within those hours. So irregular working hours. No proper meal times. I think this is the most important thing जो कि हमको emphasize करना है, खाने का time होना. हम Indians में what we see ना, majorly in our Indian population जो हम trend देखते हैं वो ये है कि नाश्ता कोई नहीं करता है, दोपहर से खाना चालू करते हैं और फिर दोपहर के बाद सीधा रात को. And क्योंकि रात का एक meal we are sitting and having with our family, we want that meal to be a lavish meal. और फिर खाके हम तुरंत सो जाते हैं या फिर Netflix देखते हैं, but otherwise we are not doing any kind of activity. So again, this is one of the things जो सोचने वाली बात है. Sleep disturbances, I think sir ने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से उस चीज को elaborate किया, so I will not go much in detail. Lack of exercise, he is definitely going to cover about, so I will not. One fact I'll cover about social eating. सर ने बोला, सर के एक स्लाइड में था कि आजकल हम लोग सोशलाइज नहीं करते हैं, बट हम बहुत ज्यादा सोशलाइज करते हैं with our Zomato and Swiggy apps, where it's just so handy, any time of the day. You just, click on and whatever food you want, and yes, in 15 minutes, the meal is there. And we are very much getting dependent on these apps. So जैसे हम ग्लोबलाइजेशन या जितना we are growing, our technologies are growing, उतना we are becoming more and more dependent on these things, and where post COVID is where I have seen that there is a sudden shift. And no doubt, COVID एक ऐसा era था जहाँ पे सब लोगों को realize हुआ कि health important, I mean health अच्छा होना is very important. Because COVID said कि अगर आपको डायबिटीज नहीं है, हाइपरटेंशन नहीं है, तो कोविड का इफेक्ट ज्यादा नहीं होगा. बट जिन लोगों को ये मेटाबॉलिक प्रॉब्लम्स है, उनमें बहुत ज्यादा साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं. सो कोविड डिड टीच अस सम लेसन. तो टू सम एक्सटेंट कुछ लोगों को उन्होंने जागृत कर दिया कि बाबा एक्सरसाइज करो, हेल्दी खाओ, इम्यूनिटी अच्छा करो ताकि बीमारियां ना हो. बट एट द सेम टाइम, बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड, बिकॉज ऑफ फिजिकल वर्क नॉट हैपनिंग, a lot of work through IT companies bolo ya majority companies have shifted to online mode of working. And with this online mode of working hours have become even more, and उस वजह से you are also more dependent. जैसे बोलते हैं अगर हम घर पे बैठे हैं, we have more access to food in the kitchen, and if we don't have time then we are going to order more. So these are all हम कौन से factor को पहले target करें ये सोच में है. So what I will try and cover up आगे is कि practically without drastically changing things आप किस तरीके से अपना lifestyle करेक्ट कर सकते हो, जहाँ से maybe not completely but then taking 5 steps at a time you try and achieve that goal. Deadlines, yes. And stress eating, yes, with the deadline comes stress eating. Patients come and say इतना काम का stress होता है that I have to have a chocolate. इतना काम का stress होता है that I have to go and maybe coffee, caffeine intake तो definitely, but at the same time कि alcohol क्योंकि जब socialize करेंगे तो please that time don't tell me that I should not drink or I should not smoke. So when the patients come for consultations also there are terms and conditions already in place for us जब हम consultation start करते हैं. So one thing that I do is that I never judge the patient when they come to me. अगर कोई, if I see that someone is obese, the first thought which comes in your mind is कि यार ये शायद वजन कम करने के लिए आया है, but I'm not judgmental because when a patient comes in, you never know वो क्या सोच के आए हैं. So this is for all the students out there. Don't be judgmental. Let the patients tell what the problem they have come up with, and then provide with a solution. I think they'll listen to you more. Smoking and alcohol, sir, very in depth, covered that. One part about alcohol, like sir ने बताया, yes, there are some studies जो बोलता है कि 1 or 2 pegs or drinks of alcohol is safe. But if you ask me, read about these studies, there are no Indian studies. You look at studies, Mediterranean diet will have some part of alcohol or wine as a part of their diet. Indian diet, there is no alcohol as a part of our diet. So if you ask me in terms of recommendation, कि alcohol का क्या recommendation है, we don't have a recommendation. There is no recommendation for alcohol. So there can be ways कि आप इसको कम कैसे कर सकते हो, और जब आप alcohol ले रहे हो तो उसके साथ ऐसा क्या combination कर सकते हो which will reduce the risk. ये मैं बता सकती हूँ, but there is no recommendation. So this is one part that I wanted to talk about. So yes, so with all of this, with all these stress factors, stress eating, what are we seeing? We are seeing increase in the blood pressure. We are seeing increase in the blood cholesterol levels. We are seeing increase in the body weight, overweight, obesity, and high risk of diabetes and heart disease. And in this last point I would want to cover, हम diabetes का definition जब देखते हैं ना, we see कि अगर 6.4 की उम्र हो गया, जब डॉक्टर ने बोला कि डायबिटीज है तब डायबिटीज है. There is a condition before diabetes called pre-diabetes, which we very conveniently forget about कि थोड़ा borderline है. But this is one phase which is completely reversible, where you are in a pre-diabetic stage, which is 5.7 to 6.4. तो ये ध्यान में रखना जरूरी है. There have been few patients जो मेरे पास maybe 2020 के पहले आए थे, who were in say maybe a pre-diabetic stage, और अब वो आए हैं post-COVID मेरे पास full-fledged diabetes लेके. But because they didn't follow the instructions then, that they have landed up in this situation. So this is one area where I feel बहुत बार when you go to even a local physician or doctor, maybe even they are not highlighting that fact कि वो बोलेंगे अच्छा borderline है, take care of it. But this is one phase which is very important कि अगर pre-diabetic stage में अगर आप हो, even slight blood pressure or even if the weight is a little high, these are the things that you need to correct that immediately. Sir ने बहुत beautifully modifiable, non-modifiable risk, he just covered that very beautifully. Rightly हम अपना gender नहीं change कर सकते हैं, age नहीं change कर सकते हैं, so all these things we cannot change. But still 80% of the patients will give a justification. मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है, मेरा genetics ऐसा है. You know, my mom has diabetes, so then it is obvious that I will get diabetes. Or my dad had a heart problem, so it's obvious, you know, the reports are like that. So the only thing that I have to tell them is that कि अगर आपको पता है कि आपका genetics है या genes है जिससे आपका risk बढ़ रहा है, तो even more a reason that you have to have a healthy lifestyle, because आप genetics का कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, but what you are putting in your mouth or how much you are burning is in your hand. So that is one thing that you will emphasize on. First, simple strategy, salt, blood pressure अगर ज़्यादा है तो salt कम करना है, right? Common sense says that salt कम करना है. और क्या करना है? तो obviously जब हम market से कोई चीजें खरीद रहे हैं तो we have to be careful about the additives added or the what you say preservatives which are added, and we tell them कि lifestyle modification करना है, which is common. Now first point, कितना नमक कम करना है, this thing always creates a debate with patients. So see, our Indian diet, everything that we eat, the base of our diet and the taste is salt. है ना, कितना भी अच्छा आपने खाना बनाया हो, कितना भी अच्छा इंग्रेडिएंट्स यूज किया हो, बट अगर उसमें नमक नहीं होगा तो उसमें टेस्ट नहीं होगा. तो इफ यू रियली आस्क मी, रिकमेंडेशन तो अब इतना लो हो गया है वेयर वी से 5 ग्राम यानी कितना होता है 1 टीस्पून. ओके, 1 टीस्पून. दिस इज अ नॉर्मल रिकमेंडेशन for me, for you, for everybody, whether you're having a hypertension or not. But this is what is the requirement, and trust me, our diets do not have anything less than 10 grams what we eat. And on top of that, अगर आप outside food खा रहे हो, processed food खा रहे हो, then so you know that sodium is just piling up. So how do we achieve this? So और फिर तो कुछ पेशेंट बोलते हैं अरे मार्केट में वो pink salt मिलता है हम वो ले ले, और वो black salt मिलता है वो हम ले ले. But see, you have to understand, जैसे नेहा ने बताया, salt में क्या होता है, सोडियम क्लोराइड, उसका सोडियम is the culprit, है ना. So sodium content of most of these salts that you will see, pink salt ले लो, black salt ले लो, sea salt ले लो, is more or less the same. In fact, there was one event that we had done at our organization where we had tried to get almost 15 varieties of salts which are available across market and food hall and all those things. और जब हमने उनका actual sodium content देखा, we realized the same salt. I mean the same sodium content. So what do we do now? And एक चीज we don't understand, salt sensitivity. यानी कितना नमक डालने पे मुझे कितना खाना टेस्टी लगेगा, it will differ, right? मेरा sensitivity आपका sensitivity is going to be different. So we have to understand कि जब जो normal salt होता है उसका sensitivity versus pink salt, सिंधा नमक, ये जो commonly हम use करते हैं उसका कम होता है. So you end up adding more. So you are doing more harm. So best logic is कि normal salt use करो, कम प्रमाण में use करो. Don't go into these substitutes. हाँ, substitutes करके कम नमक में you are able to manage, fine. But this is one. ये तो चलो visible salt हो गया. आप कितना अपने खाने में डाल रहे हो? What about this? Is that clear? Chips, fries, pickle. I think pickle and papad are a very integral part of our diet, our Indian diet. I mean, किसी सिंधी को आप बोल दो कि पापड़ नहीं खाना है, she might come and I mean, I have to be very careful when I'm telling a patient कि पापा आपको ये नहीं खाना है. या फिर some गुजराती patient जो अपने घर में हमेशा पूरा वो साल भर का पिकल बनाते हैं, अरे पिकल. So these are the things which are adding on. That save puri and save mamra. अरे वो तो क्या है, वो तो roasted है, but we forget that save is fried. The puris that you are adding it, the chutney that you are adding it, in that you are adding extra salt. You're forgetting that much amount of salt which is going in it. So I think this is one thing जो कि invisible form में आ रहा है. आप bread खा रहे हो, processed foods खा रहे हो. Understand one thing, anything and everything which is coming out of a packet is going to have preservatives, is going to be high in sodium. So please be mindful of these things जब आप अपने regular diet में ले रहे हो. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि मैं कभी भी bread ना खाऊं, या आप मुझे बोल रहे हो कि मैं कभी भी pickle ना खाऊं, या मैं कभी पापड़ नहीं खा सकता. So moderation is the key. That if you want कि आपके खाने में कोई restriction ना रहे और आपको सब कुछ खाने में मिले, then you have to be careful about how much you are eating और कितना frequency में आप खा रहे हो. रोज पापड़ खाओगे तो थोड़ी आपको allow करेगा. शादी में गए हो, fried पापड़ खाया है, right? But then if it's a daily part, something which is going wrong, so this gives me a this thing. There are जब हम लोग consultations करते हैं ना patients को, so there will be कि most of the time we ask कि घर पे कितना तेल या घी इस्तेमाल होता है रेगुलर डाइट में, versus we ask कि आप बाहर कितने बार वड़ा पाव या समोसा खाते हो. Now tell me, अगर आपके घर के डाइट में, रोज के डाइट में जो आप रोज खाते हो, उसमें अगर आपका फैट का प्रमाण जितना होना चाहिए उससे डबल है, will that be more harmful? या फिर 15 दिन में एक बार वड़ा पाव खाया, is that going to be harmful? Right? So the balance and the frequency, ये चीजें important है. So when we talk about balanced diet, मुझे balanced diet का pyramid नहीं डालना था. So this we have designed as a plate. कि एक चीज ध्यान में रखिए कि जब कभी भी whenever you are eating a meal, आपके प्लेट में क्या होना चाहिए? That you keep in mind. See, for everything, for every damn reason, you will not go to a dietitian. But these awareness programs are there to at least guide you, to give you a direction. So in that direction, if you ask me, in a plate, what is very important is कि रोटी सब्जी दाल चावल यही तो हमारा इंडियन डाइट है. तो अलग अलग पंजाबी will eat पराठा, गुजराती will eat फुल्का, और so there are different forms in which that you will have, but खाना तो वही रहेगा. So what you have to keep in mind is कि जब आप प्लेट ले रहे हो, आधा प्लेट आपका फाइबर से भरा हुआ होना चाहिए, which is going to come from vegetables. It can be raw vegetables, it can be salads, but at least half your plate should have the fiber. The remaining half, one third of that, I mean half of that would be your grains. चावल हो गया, रोटी हो गया, थेपला हो गया, पराठा हो गया, या राइस हो गया, right? So that will be one part, and the other part has to be protein. This is what is missing most of the time. हम जब टिफिन कैरी करते हैं चपाती भाजी, right? Where is the protein? फिर नाश्ते में भी हमने suppose nowadays there's this trend केचप के साथ इडली खा लिया, केचप के साथ डोसा खा लिया. So now what is there with your meal? There is no protein. A healthy idli sambar is converted now to purely a carbohydrate rich meal and with additives. And I'm telling you, then when kids come for consultations, it is a big challenge to counsel the parents. उनको ऐसा लगता है कि अगर मैंने बोला आप अपने बच्चे को केचप मत दो, या अपने बच्चे को प्रेजर्वेटिव्स मत दो, या पैकेट वाला फूड मत दो, तो उनको लगता है एज इफ पता नहीं मैंने उनके बच्चे को स्टार्व कर दिया, या आई एम डूइंग अ बिग crime that आई एम टेलिंग दैट यू आर टेलिंग मी नॉट टू गिव ऑल these things to my child. So these things are very important. So you have to practice that yourself and you will come to know. Okay. Now moving to obviously normal खाने में क्या खाना है. Most of the time we say carbohydrate, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals. This is what is the nutrients that we get from food. But you think now we should be talking only and only about these food groups? There's something beyond this that you need to look at. क्योंकि ये तो आपको पता है, आप गूगल करोगे तो गूगल आपको बताएगा कि कार्बोहाइड्रेट कौन से फूड में रहता है, प्रोटीन कौन से फूड में रहता है, फिर कैल्शियम कौन से फूड में रहता है, या आयरन कौन से फूड में रहता है, राइट? वी ऑल नो इट्स वेरी इजी टू फाइंड आउट व्हाट इज रियली मेकिंग द डिफरेंस. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम आपने पढ़ा होगा या सुना होगा कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट, सिंपल कार्बोहाइड्रेट. सिंपल नहीं लेना है या कम लेना है, और कॉम्प्लेक्स ज्यादा लेना है, राइट? But what is the basic difference? The basic difference is processing. You hear wheat नहीं खाना चाहिए, right? Wheat से diabetes होता है. वजन बढ़ता है। फिर कोई डॉक्टर बोलता है राइस नहीं खाना चाहिए, कोई भी व्हाइट चीजें नहीं खानी चाहिए, राइट? तो आपने वो भी एलिमिनेट कर दिया, तो फिर क्या खाना चाहिए, राइट? So the question is what to eat. So now start thinking in that perspective, whether आप घर पे खा रहे हो, आप बाहर खा रहे हो, आप कहीं पे भी खा रहे हो, keep these things in mind. How much is the food in front of me is processed? Okay? ये कैसे बना होगा या उसमें कितना प्रोसेसिंग हुआ होगा? जितना ज्यादा प्रोसेस, जितना लंबा प्रोसेस, जितना ज्यादा प्रिजर्वेटिव, जितना ज्यादा इंग्रेडिएंट्स, उतना अनहेल्दी फूड. Okay? So when we talk of, I'll give you a simple example. See this. Gehu, wheat grain, we say very good source of fiber. Wheat fiber, we should have that. हमारा basic staple, right? We eat chapatis, which is a basic staple of our meal. We process it a little, जिसमें बनता है दलिया. We say घउना फाड़ा, right? Gujaratis call it घउना फाड़ा. So or else lapsi, which is also a very healthy form of. But what we have done is we've broken the grain a little bit. So obviously there is little bit of processing. There is little bit of loss of nutrients, right? हमने उसको और प्रोसेस किया, उसका रवा बनाया, ठीक है? फिर वो रवा का शीरा भी बनाया, जो बहुत हमने शौक से खाया, घी में डाल के, राइट? ओके, फिर हमने वो रवा को और ज्यादा प्रोसेस किया और उसका मैदा बनाया. अब वो मैदा का हमने ब्रेड बनाया, फिर वो मैदा का हमने पूरी बनाया. एंड व्हाट वी से, गेहूं का चपाती खाने से मेरा शुगर बढ़ा, मेरा वेट बढ़ा. See how we change these things, right? It is not the food which is the problem, okay? How you cook your food is the problem. So ये problem food का नहीं था, ये problem हमारा था कि हमने वो खाना किस तरीके से पकाया, किस तरीके से प्रोसेस किया, and that is what is going to cause this thing of a healthy or unhealthy, right? Wheat तो is healthy, but उस wheat को भी मैंने फ्राई करके पूरी के फॉर्म में खाया तो it becomes unhealthy, right? So processing of the food is important to think over, and not just the food. Proteins. I think I emphasize this irrespective of कोई भी topic मुझे दिया गया हो, I always and always emphasize on protein. Why? Just spoke about metabolic disorders. We saw कि hypertension की वजह से क्या हो सकता है. We are seeing hypertension की वजह से cardiovascular problem हो सकता है. We are seeing कि in not only in India, all across the world, cardiovascular diseases are one of the main reasons of mortality. One of the main reasons. So I think over the last 2-3 years, we had forgotten about diabetes, we had forgotten, and we were talking only about COVID. But even COVID brought us down again on this. Now, why I'm talking about protein is, normally protein requirement, I know students will be aware about it, but even for general public, हम बोलते हैं 0.8 to 1 gram per kg body weight मेरा protein requirement होना चाहिए. And Indians, okay? So our RDA says that कि इतना protein होना चाहिए. So अगर मेरा वजन 60 kgs है, तो मुझे 60 grams protein लेना चाहिए. But actually में कितना होता है? तो जो community based studies होते हैं, you know, there are community based studies which happen. वो studies से हमें पता लगा है कि normal average intake is not more than 0.5 grams, which is 50% of what we should be consuming. And when we talk about metabolic disorder, one of the main reasons for metabolic disorders is visceral fat. So अगर हमने प्रोटीन कम खाया, बचा क्या? कार्बोहाइड्रेट और फैट. ऑटोमेटिकली उसका परसेंटेज बढ़ गया ना. आई एम डूइंग अ सिंपल मैथ्स के 100 में से ये इफ आई एम कंज्यूमिंग 1000 कैलोरीज, 1000 में से मेरा प्रोटीन तो एकदम ही कम है, 30 ग्राम जितना प्रोटीन है, तो बचा क्या? कार्बोहाइड्रेट और फैट. तो अगर मैं परसेंटेज निकालूं तो इट इज वे हायर than what it should be. That is what is the culprit today. We are talking about sugar being a culprit or a fat being a culprit. No, it is together, and this imbalance of low protein which is a culprit. So protein कहाँ से आता है? Protein will come from your diet, from milk and milk products. It will come from dals and pulses, soyabean, और जो non-veg खाते हैं उनको अंडा, chicken, fish, ये sources से protein मिलेगा. Now I understand not everybody is a non-vegetarian, और non-veg जो खाते हैं वो भी रोज नहीं खाते हैं. Okay, I can eat non-veg every day, but I know that not all non-vegetarians eat non-veg every day, right? So most of us are vegetarian, and on occasions we eat non-veg. So how do we meet up this requirement? एक कटोरी दाल लंच में खाने से क्या मेरा प्रोटीन रिक्वायरमेंट मीट होगा? नहीं. मिल्क और मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स पसंद नहीं आता है किसी को, और हमने पढ़ा था व्हाइट इज बैड फॉर हेल्थ. तो हमने मिल्क भी बंद कर दिया, ठीक है, क्योंकि मिल्क में भी फैट होता है, हमको दिखता है, हम मलाई निकालते हैं, उसका घी बनाते हैं, सो मिल्क इज ऑल्सो फैट, तो वो भी हमने बंद कर दिया, तो फिर बचा क्या, राइट? सो व्हाट इज इम्पोर्टेंट इज whether you are a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, milk and milk products आपके डाइट में रोज हो सकता है. Now yes, milk has fats. Milk has fats. It has 6% fat. If I'm looking at full cream buffalo milk, 6% fat. यानी 100 ml में 6 ग्राम फैट. फिर हम बोलते हैं ठीक है चलो अभी हम गाय का दूध लेंगे क्योंकि भैंस के दूध में ज्यादा फैट है, but difference is only of 4%, 2%, 6%, उतना ही डिफरेंस है जो नेकेड आई से दिखता नहीं है. फिर नहीं वो पैकेट वाला दूध तो इज नॉट हेल्दी, पता नहीं उसमें क्या डालते हैं, क्या प्रोसेस करते हैं, बट बेसिकली द प्रोसेस्ड मिल्क व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इन दैट प्रोसेस इज कि वो जो फैट है वो फैट कम कर रहे हैं एंड दे आर एडजस्टिंग दैट फैट. सो जब भी आप मार्केट में कोई दूध खरीदते हो इट सेज भैंस का दूध, इट इज buffalo milk, cow's milk is cow's milk, but when you buy toned milk it is a blend of both. मशीन में पूरा दूध डालते हैं मिक्स करके, उसको ब्लेंड करके उसको 3% फैट पे एडजस्ट किया जाता है, सो दैट इज अ मिक्स. देन व्हेन यू से डबल टोन्ड मिल्क इट इज 1.5 to 2% फैट, एंड देन कम्स द स्किम मिल्क जो सिर्फ डब्बे में आता है, जो कि बहुत महंगा होता है, व्हिच इज 0 फैट, राइट? सो कंपनीज का मार्केटिंग गिमिक बोलो या जो भी बोलो कि स्किम मिल्क मार्केट में मिलेगा और टोन्ड मिल्क मिलेगा, डबल टोन बहुत इजीली नहीं मिलता है, okay, because there is a price difference, but still this is only to tell you अपनी अकल लगाओ and you select what is right for you, right? Okay, so but it's important. कितना दूध important है? I would say 2 to 3 servings which comes to at least 500 ml in a day. So then I know there will be eyebrows raising. 500 ml दूध कोई कैसे पी सकता है? You can have dahi, you can have chash, and you can have milk, right? So if you divide it and if you ask me, it is 3 cups in a day. 1 cup can be milk, 1 cup can be in the form of curd, the other can be converted into a buttermilk and eaten, right? So this is what is important to understand. Why? Because it's giving me protein and it's giving me calcium, and I don't want to what you say, there are a lot of other foods which will also give me protein and calcium, but they are the rich sources. कम में ज्यादा मिलेगा, सो कम कैलोरी में ज्यादा बेनिफिट मिलेगा, राइट? एंड कमिंग टू द स्लाइड ऑफ देयर आर यस सम पीपल जिनको दूध टॉलरेट नहीं होता है तो वो दही के फॉर्म में ले सकते हैं. व्हेन वी से प्रोटीन्स, जैसे वेजिटेरियंस कैन एक्चुअली डू फ्लावर फोर्टिफिकेशन, गेहूं के आटे में दाल का आटा मिक्स करके रोटी बना सकते हैं, राइट? We make थेपलास जिसमें बेसन का आटा मिक्स होता है. So these are ways in which आप अपना प्रोटीन डाइट without really calories बढ़ाए, you can increase the protein in your diet. Flour fortification. Coming to chicken. Yes, I am a non-vegetarian and I eat proteins and I eat proteins every time. So how can I go wrong? You know, मेरे डाइट में कुछ गड़बड़ हो ही नहीं सकता है. I am eating proteins all the time. In what form are you having the protein? That's very important. Are you actually grilling your meat? You are making it in a curry, or what you are adding in that curry? वो curry में आपने coconut भी डाला, फिर पूरा एक वो छोटा ये पूरा oil का डाला, फिर उसमें coconut. So this way you are making your food more rich, and the culprit is the chicken. Chicken is not the culprit. How you are cooking your chicken is the culprit. KFC में जाके fried chicken खाएंगे, McDonald's में जाके burger patty खाएंगे. Instead, this chicken can be made at home in whatever spices and yogurts which are available at home, marinated and cooked in a non-stick pan, right? So again, the point comes processing. Eating a chicken burger is also protein, but हम burger भूल जाते हैं, उसके अंदर का मेयो भूल जाते हैं, right? So that is what is important. What you are balancing your meals with is very important. Fats. So this is one part. I think it's very difficult to convince some communities or certain patients when you say your fat requirement itself is less. Okay? So normal fat recommendation. I'll not deal with the types of fat. वो तो बाद में देखते हैं. मैं आपको बताती हूँ. Visible fat जो हम खाने में डाल के लेते हैं, उसका राशन कितना होना चाहिए? उसका राशन है आधा लीटर एक इंसान के लिए महीने का, half a liter per person per month. So whether you have diabetes or you don't have diabetes, whether you have a cardiac problem or you don't have a cardiac problem, आपका bypass हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है, bypass के बाद भी हम इतना ही recommendation देते हैं. Okay, so simple calculation, अगर घर में 10 लोगों का खाना बनता है 10 into 500 यानी 5 लीटर आपका राशन होना चाहिए तेल का. फिर अगर 2 जन का खाना बनता है तो इट इज ओनली 1 लीटर. सो दिस इज द कैलकुलेशन दैट वी से. सो यू और किसी चीज में कॉस्ट कटिंग मत करो, इसमें करो. ठीक है, ऑलवेज राशन दैट फैट. एंड इन टुडेज एरा और इन टुडेज जनरेशन दैट most of us are working, we are dependent on our cooks or our maids who are doing our cooking, and because they have multiple tasks to do, तो बहुत बार वो लोग ज्यादा डाल के निकल जाते हैं क्योंकि उनको बाकी किसी के घर पे जाना है. तो राशनिंग ऑफ दिस फैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऑल्सो कमिंग टू घी, घी इज वेरी डियर, सबके लिए बहुत प्यारा होता है. तो जो डाइटिशियन बोलती है घी मत खाओ वो बहुत बुरी है, बट आई एम टेलिंग यू द फैक्ट. प्रॉब्लम फॉर एनी मेटाबॉलिक डिसऑर्डर इज द टाइप ऑफ फैट, सैचुरेटेड फैट. अब ये सैचुरेटेड फैट कहां से आ रहा है? Typically, if you ask me, for a lay person, any fat which is solid at room temperature is saturated. Butter, घी भी जम जाता है ना? So डालडा, ये सारी चीजें are solid at room temperature. गर्म करने पे मेल्ट होता है, but solid है. Oils में only coconut oil जो solidify हो जाता है. Winters में देखोगे coconut oil की bottle पूरा जम जाता है. So those are all saturated fat, which is what is harmful to your body. But फिर आप बोलोगे अरे recommendation तो है कि 7% saturated fat हम डाइट में ले सकते हैं, तो क्यों नहीं लेने का? क्योंकि जो आपने दूध लिया, आपने फैट फ्री मिल्क नहीं लिया, आपने या तो गाय का दूध लिया या तो आपने टोटल मिल्क लिया, उसमें जो फैट आया इज सैचुरेटेड फैट. फिर आप जब तेल इस्तेमाल करते हो खाने में, उसमें भी सैचुरेटेड फैट होता है, कम होता है पर होता है. सो जो आपका बॉडी का रिक्वायरमेंट था वो तो मिल गया. सो ओवर एंड अबव दैट अगर आप घी डाल रहे हो खाने में, यू आर इंक्रीजिंग द इनटेक, तो कहीं ना कहीं तो दिखेगा. किसी का प्रेशर बढ़ाएगा, किसी का वजन बढ़ाएगा, किसी का कोलेस्ट्रॉल बढ़ाएगा. अब ये पता कब चलेगा? जब आप रिपोर्ट्स कराओगे, और रिपोर्ट्स हम रेगुलरली नहीं कराते हैं, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. या So yes, I covered about the saturated fat. Coming to fruits and vegetables, very important. Fiber, like I mentioned, half of your plate should be covered with fruits and vegetables. But इसमें भी you have to understand one thing, कि जब मैंने बोला fruits and vegetables are important, हमारा recommendation कहता है 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day. So people don't understand. It's fruits and vegetables together 4 to 5 servings. तो दिन में 5 fruit खाना, 4 fruit khana, you are taking fruit sugar in your system. So there has to be a limit to that. So we always recommend more vegetables and we restrict the quantity of fruit sugar. So maybe 1 or 2 fruits in a day in its natural form. क्योंकि इनसे जो हमको vitamins और minerals की जरूरत होती है, which is what is required in a smaller quantity. So that is what is our focus when we talk of fruits and vegetables, because we are also looking at fiber in the diet, which is very important. Fiber help करता है multiple ways से it is going to help. It will help to reduce your cholesterol. It will help to reduce your sugars. So for a normal bowel movement, I think gut brain axis बहुत जरूरी है आज के जमाने में. Most of us are living with पेट में थोड़ा सा digestion का problem. Most of us, and all the problems are starting from there. So it's very important. खाना should be such which is easily digestible. Fiber content जो आपका बराबर होना चाहिए खाने में. Natural fruits or vegetables definitely is going to add on fiber, but you can also use things like मेथी के दाने, जो कि आपके डाइट में नेचुरली आप इनकॉर्पोरेट कर सकते हो. लेकिन मेथी तो डायबिटीज वाले खाते हैं ना, हमको तो डायबिटीज नहीं है. No, but you have to understand, for a diabetic patient, मेथी will help जब आप empty stomach लेते हो सुबह. जब आप सुबह उठते हो, for a diabetic, you are fasting for the night time. आपने रात के डिनर के बाद कुछ नहीं खाया है, आप सीधा सुबह उठते हो. At that time, in a fasting state, आपके stress hormones that peak होते हैं, जो कि क्योंकि आपका जो भी food you have eaten is all digested and there are no stores, so it will start breaking down sugars, जिसके वजह से fasting sugar बढ़ता है. तो मेथी इट्स प्रूवन, साइंटिफिकली प्रूवन कि अगर आप एम्प्टी स्टमक लेते हो इट हेल्प्स to reduce the stress hormones which will help to reduce your fasting sugars. So ये डायबिटीज में प्रूवन है. बट अदरवाइज अगर आप मेथी को स्प्राउट करते हो, पानी में भिगो के स्प्राउट करके अगर एक एक चम्मच भी अपने सैलेड में या सब्जी में डाल के लेते हो, you are getting the benefit of the fiber of methi, which is very important whether you are dealing with a cardiac condition, hypertension, diabetes, हर एक चीज में काम आएगा. And ज्यादा fiber will help you feeling of fullness. So it will help you even in trying to control calories जब आपको weight loss करना है. Water, a very important factor which we forget. हम most of the time AC में होते हैं. अब बाहर तो बहुत गर्मी है. When I was coming, I was like, oh my God. But यहाँ पे हम लोग AC में बैठे हैं. और AC में बैठे बैठे we most of the time don't realize the need of drinking water or the thirst that you have. So it's important कि consciously बार-बार जाके आप पानी पियो. It is important for hydration, important for bowel movements. So it's very important to keep yourself hydrated. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि पानी में शक्कर डाल के नींबू डाल के हर बार पीना चाहिए क्योंकि हमको लिक्विड ज्यादा लेना है. So शुगरी फॉर्म में नहीं लेना है. But yes, पानी में हल्का सा दही डाल के पतला छाछ बना के you can keep sipping it. That can be done. Infused water. There are some people who say हमको पानी का टेस्ट ही पसंद नहीं आता है, हम पानी ही नहीं पी पाते हैं, तो आप नींबू के वेजेस डाल सकते हो, पुदीना डाल के रख सकते हो पानी में, which we call it as infused water. तो वो पानी का स्लाइटली एक रिफ्रेशिंग टेस्ट आता है जिससे कि you know your water intake can improve. So it's very important. How much water? Now most of the time water requirement वजन पे डिपेंड करता है, आपका बॉडी सर्कमफरेंस पे डिपेंड करता है, but on an average considering say a standard weight to someone overweight, we say minimum 2 liters, maximum can be even 3 liters, 4 liters depending on your body circumference. ठीक है? Specifically अगर hypertension है, अगर ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ रहा है, so I know कि yes गोली लेनी पड़ेगी अगर प्रेशर ज्यादा है, but डाइट में कुछ नेचुरल डायूरेटिक्स है जिसका इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है which can help आपके बॉडी से एक्स्ट्रा सॉल्ट्स एलिमिनेट करने के लिए, जो कि है in the form of you say barley, जौ के दाने. सुने आपने? So barley seeds have a very natural diuretic effect which can be converted into a barley water and can be had. It can help you in your blood pressure, reduction in blood pressure. If you have swelling, there are some people who have swelling. Even in PCOS, girls will see that there is sometimes a swelling on your face when you wake up. There are swelling in your hands when you wake up. So even I have, but right now I don't have. But otherwise, there will be times where I won't be able to, move my ring, which is very normal. So barley water can help you to reduce that kind of, water retention and swelling in the body. The same way coriander, धनिया का दाना, धनिया का दाने का पानी अगर आप बना के पीते हो, even that. So these are natural remedies जो आप घर पे try कर सकते हो for helping you to try and control your, or to at least remove that extra salt from the body. उससे यूरिन बढ़ेगा, बार-बार वॉशरूम जाना पड़ेगा, नॉर्मल है. नहीं तो आप बोलोगे मुझे अब डायबिटीज हो गया है. नहीं, इट जस्ट के दैट्स द ओनली वे कि जो एक्स्ट्रा वाटर आप ले रहे हो या जो एक्स्ट्रा डायूरेटिक्स आप ले रहे हो नेचुरल फॉर्म में, वो यूरिन के थ्रू ही पास होगा. सो इट इज अ नॉर्मल थिंग. सॉल्ट सब्स्टिट्यूट्स. नाउ वन ऑफ द थिंग्स, अब मैंने बोला सॉल्ट कम लेना है, राइट? हमने बोला 5 ग्राम सॉल्ट में, विच इज अ नॉर्मल रिकमेंडेशन. तो अगर हमको उसमें हमारा सब खाना बनाना है तो हाउ डू वी गेट टेस्ट? अब इसने तो हमारा सारा पूरा टेस्ट निकाल दिया खाने में से. So to get that taste, you can use things like आमचूर पाउडर का इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है, स्पाइसेस है, हर्ब्स है, लेमन है, विनेगर है, टैमरिंड है, ये सारी चीजों का इस्तेमाल खाने में किया जा सकता है to naturally enhance the taste rather than just adding salt. Chaat masala is not a salt substitute. आमचूर powder is raw mango powder जो naturally खट्टा मीठा होता है. But when you talk of chaat masala, it is with added salt. तो वो नहीं लेना है. टेस्ट सिमिलर है, सो प्लीज बी माइंडफुल जब आप ले रहे हो. सो अगर आप इन चीजों का इस्तेमाल करोगे, डेफिनेटली आप खाने में कम नमक को मिस नहीं करोगे. Exercise, I think I'll not cover the exercise part because sir is going to cover about exercise. But yes, very, very important to improve your metabolism, very important. To improve your blood circulation, very important. So definitely this thing should not be missed. Okay, अब इतने सारे restrictions बताए तो मतलब what she's saying is कि कुछ भी खाना enjoy मत करो, life enjoy मत करो, बाहर मत जाओ, बाहर का खाना मत खाओ. No, that's not the case. See, you are going to go to an expert when you have a problem. अगर आप मेरे पास एक faulty report लेके आते हो और मुझे बोलते हो कि मुझे ये report ठीक करना है, then I have to put restrictions. But ये same report आप 2 महीने के बाद पूरा improve करके आते हो और अब आपको कोई problem नहीं है, so definitely then थोड़ा leeway हम diet में दे सकते हैं. But जब आप बाहर खा रहे हो on a routine basis, when you are eating out, when you are traveling, when you don't know what to eat from home, what to select when you are eating out is also very important. हर बार फ्राइड चीजें सिलेक्ट करनी होती है जरूरी नहीं है. समोसा वड़ा पाव के बदले इडली डोसा भी खा सकते हैं, राइट? दैट इज आल्सो हेल्दी. डोसा वाले को बोल सकते हैं ऊपर से बटर का लेयर ना लगाए, राइट? दैट डोसा इज स्टिल हेल्दी, यू कैन हैव दैट. Pasta nowadays, so whichever restaurant you go, you get, they have whole wheat pasta, they customize your pasta, so you can always opt those. Tell them to add extra vegetables to your pasta instead of a cheese sauce, going for a vegetable based sauce. So ये changes आप कर सकते हो, right? Then we look at even Indian snacks, dhoklas and all. They are pretty, but yeah, बाहर का अगर आप ढोकला खा रहे हो, खमन ढोकला, that comes with a layer of sugar syrup. So please be mindful. But ये चीजें अगर आप घर पे बना रहे हो, definitely you can try having those. Fruits in its natural form. Take a fruit as a fruit or a cut fruit. Don't make it into a juice. We don't realize. जो मैंने processing की बात की ना, उसमें fruit is also one of the part. कि आप अगर एप्पल खाओगे तो एक एप्पल खाओगे, और अगर एप्पल जूस पियोगे, घर पे जो भी खाना बनाता है उनको पता होगा कि एक एप्पल जूस बनाने के लिए मुझे 3 एप्पल लगेंगे, राइट? और मैं वो 3 एप्पल का जो जूस है मैं few seconds में खत्म कर दूंगी. Like when I drink, I can finish the whole glass in few seconds. I will not wait कि मैं 2 सिप लेके वेट करूं. But if I'm eating 1 apple, I will take at least 5 to 7 minutes, even if I'm a fast eater, right? So this thing is important to think what you are drinking, what you are eating, and what is the processing on it. So that nuts, yes, dry fruits are good, they are healthy. But nowadays when you go, I have a store in Villeparle. I stay in Villeparle. There is a store and he has, I think the entire room का उसका ये है जहाँ पे he has different types of dry fruits and some of them are sugar coated. Not some, majority of them are sugar coated. You get different types of badams now, different types of dates now, different types of the dried kiwi which is sugar coated. So there are so many different varieties available outside. So please think logically कि इसमें कितना और added ingredient पड़ा है. Nuts, use it in its unsalted form, in its natural form, rather than in a salted form or in a coated form. So ये जरूरी है. जब आप बाहर कुछ पीना है, जरूरी है कि हमेशा कोक और पेप्सी पिया जाए? नहीं, छाछ भी पी सकते हो, राइट? दही भी खा सकते हो, बट नो, we want that zing in our tongue. सोडा भी पी सकते हो. So when we talk about soft drinks, cold drinks, one of the biggest culprit is the sugar. We don't realize. आप शायद अपने डाइट में शुगर नहीं ले रहे हो, but when you are drinking 1 glass of Coke or Pepsi, you are taking almost 5 to 6 teaspoons of sugar in that, which we can't see. हम realize नहीं करते हैं. And when you're socializing, you never know, you might end up drinking 1, 2, 3 glasses of those, which is equivalent to 25, 30, 75 grams of sugar at one time. So at such times, yes, market में ऐसे products available है which are without sugar. You have a diet Coke or a diet Pepsi. I'm not saying that you all the time keep drinking those because those are zero sugar with sweetener added. But जब बहुत ज़्यादा you have that thing that okay, I want to have it, those are a better option rather than taking the ones with sugar. If you are drinking, हम कितना भी बोले सर कि drinks are not good for health, but people drink, people socialize, they are going to drink. You can't stop them from drinking. But the culprit with drinking is what you eat and what are the mixers used in the drinks. Not everybody is fond of, scotch and whiskey. There are people, majorly the young crowd or, the young generation, they are more into vodka, gin, rum. So these kind of drinks always go with mixers. You can't have a rum without a Coke, right? But you can have a rum with a diet Coke. You can't have a gin without, say, a Sprite or maybe a fruit juice added. But yes, you can do maybe just a soda added and maybe 1 or 2 drops of a sweetener to just get that, sweetness. So these are the ways where you can minus whatever extra you can without really compromising on the taste and without really compromising on socializing. So these things are important. Chicken, yes, instead of fried chicken, you can go for grilled chicken. Grilled chicken, obviously, bahar ka grilled chicken, tandoori chicken will also be with extra fat, but at least it's not completely fried, right? So आप क्या options select करते हो खाने में, वो जरूरी है समझना while you are eating out. So I think with that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bhakti, for the very educational session on how to eat right for hypertension. Mrs. Bhakti, I would want to invite you to the dais. We will have questions, quick questions for you. Anybody from audience, any question for Mrs. Bhakti Saman?
Either they have understood everything or they were just sleeping. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Recently, something like cold-pressed oil has been available here. I want your inputs on that.
Okay. Now, I know the cold pressed oil, they say it's more beneficial compared to the processed oil or the refined oils. But see, understand one thing. What are we looking at from oil? Fat. Okay. We are not really looking at nutrients or nutrients enriched from that oil. So I leave that open to the patients if they want to go in for a cold pressed or a refined oil, but proportion is going to be the same. What restriction that we are giving in terms of proportion is what you have to take care of. Just because you are using a cold pressed oil, so it is healthy, so I can have more, is not the concept. Restriction तो दोनों में रखना है. आप cold pressed use करो या फिर आप refined oil use करो. Type of fat कौन सा आप use कर रहे हो? Most of the time हम decide करते हैं on your type of diet that you are taking. अगर आप vegetarian हो, आप non vegetarian हो, आपके diet में कौन सा fat missing है, based on that हम बताते हैं कि कौन सा oil use करना है. But if you are using groundnut oil, are you using olive oil, या फिर you are using sunflower oil, there is nothing wrong. Okay, this oil is bad or this fat is bad. No, proportion is what is going to decide good or bad. Okay.
So the regular processed one and the old. Is there a benefit if proportion is different?
Not really. If you ask me, yes, in terms of metals and all, or in terms of certain phytochemicals, it will make a difference. But as I said, fat, oil may say, I'm not looking at that benefit, right? Because that benefit I'm going to get naturally through my diet, also from the other food sources. So I would go more by the restriction in the number rather than the type of the oil that you're using.
The second similar comparison is, for example, if I talk about Amul or any other ghee which is produced in bulk, and the second option we saw this is Viluna ghee, something which has been now it is nearly double the rate and they say it is organic. So can you put like
again, whether it is made at home, whether it is going to be made, in a factory, ghee is going to have saturated fat. Saturated fat is atherogenic. वो मैं change कर ही नहीं सकती हूँ, right? So atherogenic, it is going to be there. आप घर का घी बनाओ, आप गाय का घी बनाओ, आप भैंस का घी बनाओ, it is going to be the same. So even then, the restriction would be mainly in terms of the amount. Now coming to the ghee part, I never give a recommendation because recommendation है ही नहीं. The recommendation is for the fat, saturated fat 7% and less than 7%. जो मुझे naturally diet से मिल रहा है. So if you can eliminate ghee, fine. No, I want to have ghee, then I would say जो आधा लीटर मैंने बोला, you minus 100 gram from that, then it will be 400 ml of oil and only 100 grams of ghee. Why not the reverse? Again with the same logic of the type of fat. I will not tell you to have 400 grams of ghee and have 100 ml of oil. It will always be 400 ml of oil and 100 grams per person per month where you can target for your ghee. Yes.
time for eating fruit?
Eating of fruit. Protein or fruit? Fruit, na? So now, specific time, if you ask me typically, there is no specific time. But, now, जब आपने खाना खाया है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हम क्या करते हैं, नाश्ता करने बैठे हैं, किसी के साथ फ्रूट भी खाया, दूध भी पिया, चाय भी पिया, नाश्ता भी खाया, भरपेट खाया, निकल गए, फिर 5-6 घंटे तक कुछ नहीं खाया। फिर या तो किसी की वाइफ ने टिफिन में फ्रूट दिया है शाम को खाने के लिए, बट शाम को टाइम नहीं है, तो मैंने खाना भी खाया, भुरभुरा भी खाया, फ्रूट भी खाया। व्हाट एम आई डूइंग, इंस्टेड ऑफ कंज्यूमिंग say maybe 300 calorie, I am consuming 600 calorie at one time. So it is going to affect my sugars. It is going to affect my weight. So that is the logic behind which we say कि fruit. जब मैंने बोला small frequent meals लेना है, 5 to 6 meals लेना है, आप हर बार प्लेट लेके नहीं बैठ सकते हो 6 बार खाने को, right? So the fruit or your nuts can be your in between meal fillers, जिससे कि आपके खाने का गैप कम हो सकता है। So I personally always give a fruit between maybe a breakfast and lunch, या फिर if I want to give them maybe between the lunch and the dinner time, जहाँ पे मुझे गैप कम करना है खाने का, that is the ideal time I would give. I would not really recommend eating a fruit or a mango with lunch, with dinner. Nice. You want to have a mango? Have it with your mid-morning. Yeah.
You mentioned barley to be one of the national diets.
Yes.
Ma'am, is it a medication or the barley that is available?
Barley seeds, all barley seeds, easily available in the grocery stores. You get the ones जो के छिलके के साथ आता है, you get the ones that is without छिलका. So what I have personally used in my practice and have seen very beneficial is without छिलका, the white pearl barley, which is what you use. So there's a process that you have to actually boil the water to get the contents of it, and then we strain it and use that water, not the barley water which you get ready-made in the market, and not even the powder, because I don't want to increase the thickness of, it's not as a thickening agent like that. Natural pearl barley seeds. Okay, thank you.
Got a question from one of the online participants. She's wanting to know how we can manage hypertension, which is low blood pressure levels.
Hypotension, like even sir mentioned, can be postural, can also be in general. There are some individuals who normally have a low, blood pressure. So we don't start giving them extra salt, but we look at in totality correction in the diet. So it will be correction in terms of your protein intake. It will be correction in terms of your fiber intake. So if you ask me upfront right now, I'll have to sit with you to actually look at what are the things which you are eating wrong in your diet. Possibility कि आपका protein intake बहुत low है. Possibility that your fiber intake is very low. You have very long gaps between your meals. Your hydration also we'll have to look into. So these are the things जो हम actually we'll have to sit and see कि how do we correct that. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, paneer is also a good source of protein. With paneer comes extra fat also. So, as I said, paneer will not be in your daily diet. But yes, occasional intake mein paneer can replace one of the protein options in the diet. At the same time, in the market now, there are options available for low-fat paneer. Tofu is made of soya milk. So that is soya paneer basically. You can use tofu also, but if you're asking me literally a milk replacement, then the natural paneer which is there, you get low fat paneer option also. And proportion we need to take care of. Yeah. So these are the ways in which you can make it. Okay? Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the questions and giving comprehensive answers for each one of them. Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. Neha Sambalkar, Ruta ma'am, to please come and felicitate Mrs. Bhakti Saman. Dr. Neha, I request you to be here. We will now be announcing the answers to the first activity that we conducted. Dr. Neha, requesting you to guide our audience.
So आप लोगों ने भक्ति मैम का सुना, तो काफी आंसर तो आपको मिल गए होंगे उस क्विज में कि कौन से हाई लो सोडियम फूड्स है. कुछ फूड जिनकी तरफ मैं आपका ध्यान ले जाना चाहूंगी. एक फूड जो आपको भक्ति मैम ने कहा, ढोकला. अब जब हम घर में ढोकला बनाते हैं ना, तो हम उसमें सोडा या इनो डालते हैं. सोडा या इनो होता है
वो भी एक सोडियम प्रोडक्ट होता है। तो हम जब घर में बनाते हैं तब हम फिर भी कोशिश करके उसकी मात्रा को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। पर अगर आपको हाइपरटेंशन है, ढोकला इज अ नो बिकॉज यू रियली कैन नॉट मेक अ नाइस सॉफ्ट ढोकला विदाउट अ बेकिंग पाउडर और अ बेकिंग सोडा। बेकिंग सोडा इज नथिंग बट अ सोडियम प्रोडक्ट। ओवरनाइट फर्मेंटेशन ये जो आप इडली में हम सोडा नहीं डालते हैं क्योंकि हम उसको ओवरनाइट फर्मेंट करते हैं, इसके लिए इडली इज नॉट अ हाई सोडियम फूड बट योर ढोकला इज। सोया सॉस, हमें लगता है कि हमारे केचप में नमक है पर सोया सॉस में नमक नहीं है। सोया सॉस भी हाई सोडियम प्रोडक्ट है। तो सोडियम होना यानी हमें एक्चुअली में नमक खाना है ये नहीं होता है। कोई भी चीज जैसे भक्ति ने कही प्रोसेस अगर वो है तो वो हाई सोडियम है। कुछ नेचुरल फूड्स हैं जो कि हाई सोडियम और मीडियम सोडियम होते हैं बट वो हमें क्योंकि कुदरत से मिल रहे हैं, जैसे दूध, दूध एक मीडियम सोडियम फूड है। So that is okay because we're taking it naturally and it is not processed and that much sodium our body requires also, okay? But when we come to now packaged, हम बोलते हैं ना tinned fruits and vegetables, आजकल ना हमें आदत है अरे हमें ना आर्टिचोक्स खाने हैं, हमें ना एस्परेगस खाना है। अभी जो आर्टिचोक्स और एस्परेगस होते हैं जो टिन में आते हैं ना वो नमक के पानी में आते हैं। तो वो नमक के पानी में क्योंकि वो 6 महीने 8 महीने रहते हैं तो उनका सोडियम कंटेंट एकदम से बढ़ जाता है। वही जो फ्रूट आते हैं ना कैंड पाइनएप्पल्स मिलते हैं, हाँ तो वो आते हैं शक्कर के पानी में, तो उनमें शक्कर का कंटेंट ज्यादा होता है ना कि सोडियम का इतना ज्यादा होता है। तो ये आंसर है, आप लोगों को लिखने की जरूरत नहीं, ये हम पीडीएफ आपको सबको मेल करेंगे ताकि आपको पता रहे कि क्या हाई लो या मीडियम सोडियम है। सो थैंक यू सो मच। एक जल्दी से हम सर को बुलाएंगे, उसके पहले हम एक छोटी सी एक्टिविटी करेंगे क्योंकि भक्ति जा रही है। हमने आपको सब कुछ फूड लेबल्स दिए हैं, एक 4 लेबल ऐसे प्रिंट करके दिए हैं, तो हम चाहते हैं कि आप आइडेंटिफाई करके सोडियम कहाँ पे होता है उसमें। तो पहला जो फूड लेबल है उसमें आप बता सकते हैं कि सोडियम कंटेंट कहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है, कितना है, कौन बताएगा? इसका एक प्राइस है, जल्दी जो सबसे पहले बताएगा उसको हम एक प्रोटीन बार देंगे। 260 ग्राम। अभी वहां पे मिलीग्राम ग्राम लेंगे तो हमारा हार्ट अटैक जल्दी आ जाएगा हमें क्योंकि ब्लड प्रेशर इतना बढ़ जाएगा। 260 मिलीग्राम। तो प्लीज गिव देम द प्रोटीन, वो मैम को वहां पे स्टूडेंट को, हाँ वहां पे, हाँ नहीं पर एमजी उन्होंने बोला कि गलत है, वहां पे पीछे स्टूडेंट राइट है, हाँ एमजी को आपको पता है कि ये क्या चीज का फूड लेबल है? हम लोग ना आजकल मुंबई सिटी में ऑलिव्स बहुत खाते हैं और ऑलिव्स खाते हैं जो वो नमक के सोल्यूशन में मिलता है, पिकल्ड ऑलिव्स बोलते हैं। तो लेबल 1 जो है वो पिकल्ड ऑलिव्स का लेबल है। सेकेंड लेबल देखिए उसमें कितना सोडियम है, मेरा क्वेश्चन ही खत्म हुआ। परसेंट डेली वैल्यू कितना है सोडियम का? 40%। अभी डेली वैल्यू क्या होता है? मुझे दिन में जितना सोडियम खाना होता है स्टूडेंट का एलिमिनेटेड, ये इधर सर ने कहा 42% जैकेट वाले ग्रीन शर्ट जैकेट वाले सर ने। जो डेली वैल्यू होता है वो क्या होता है कि दिन में आपको कितना सोडियम खाना है उसका कितना प्रतिशत उससे मिल रहा है, और ये एक पिकल का फूड लेवल है। एक लास्ट लेवल हम देखेंगे, चौथा वाला लेवल। तो स्टूडेंट्स डोंट आंसर इन द ऑडियंस, आपको क्या लगता है चौथे वाले लेवल में कितना सोडियम है? 36%। आपको पता है ये किस चीज का लेवल है? हमारी सबकी प्यारी 2 मिनट वाली मैगी। तो मैगी में दिन का 36% सोडियम आता है एक बार में, तो इसलिए मैगी क्या तो मची खाइए और खा रहे हैं तो एक छोटा सा सोडियम खाइए। विद दैट आई विल हैंड ओवर द माइक टू एंड प्लीज सर को आप तीनों सर ने आंसर दिया है उनको आप प्लीज दीजिएगा।
we would like to give the prize or the token of appreciation to these sirs who have answered the correct options for the activity that we just conducted. Let's congratulate them with a big round of applause. And yes, also our students for remembering all the things which are talking and okay, now it's time for the third speaker and the last speaker for the evening. It's none other than Dr. Kiran Samgani, sir. Dr. Kiran is the director at First Doctor Rehab Center for Chronic Diseases, and sir is practicing as a physician, preventive cardiologist, and rehabilitation specialist for cardiopulmonary diseases, cancers, pain and metabolic disorders, and sir has an experience of more than 20 years in this field. Sir is also a faculty for exercise physiology, health screening, and fitness testing for ACSM certified fitness and nutrition courses, which are being conducted by Exercise Science Academy. Sir is also a visiting faculty at College of Home Science, Nirmala Niketan for MSc in Sports Nutrition. Sir has also been associated with the medical team for the Tata Mumbai Marathon. Let us all welcome Sir with a warm and a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. We are deeply honored to have you here.
Hello everyone, good evening, and thank you for inviting me to give this talk on exercise for people who are suffering from hypertension. So basically, as we have all understood with the initial two talks, that if I want to manage hypertension or if I want to prevent hypertension, we need to focus on our lifestyle. And if we are looking at lifestyle, two important aspects of lifestyle. One is nutrition, which we have understood in detail, and the second aspect is exercise. So let's understand how exercise really helps us, especially for people who are suffering from high blood pressure. What type of exercise we should do, how does it really give us the benefit, and if at all any precautionary measures we need to take for people who are suffering from high blood pressure. So the changes that we need to make, as we said, is making those lifestyle modifications, which will be a priority for everyone, irrespective of whether you are having high blood pressure or not. And secondly, as sir also mentioned, that medications, if required. The first approach is always lifestyle modification. So anyone who is newly diagnosed with high blood pressure, it does happen depending on the judgment of the physician that he might give that person, let's say, 3-month time to correct his overall lifestyle, if at all he is not following it correctly. And then accordingly decide if that change in the lifestyle has made that required change in the blood pressure. If not, then only proper medication would be required. But if I can really correct or manage my blood pressure through lifestyle, then that is something which will be the most helpful part. So in general, when we are looking at what different lifestyle modifications we should be doing, we are looking at, first of all, increasing our aerobic physical activity, and which we'll understand in a little more detail as we talk about the exercise part. We have to lose weight if we are either overweight or obese. We need to stop smoking. So there is no concept of moderation in smoking. It has to be completely stopped. We need to limit our alcohol intake as much as possible. We need to reduce our salt intake. Again, salt-free diet is not really the requirement. You have to just control the salt intake. Again, that's where moderation is the key. Maintain adequate intake of potassium, which is going to come through different types of fruits and vegetables. And obviously reduce the intake of your saturated fat. So let's start with the understanding of how exercise can really help us. When we said what exactly is blood pressure, as sir said, it is the pressure with which your heart is going to pump that blood to your entire body, and that is required. So if I'm going to exercise, it is actually going to help in reducing the load of your heart. If at all my heart is not able to pump efficiently, if at all my heart muscle is weak, okay, just imagine any other muscle in your body. If I'm lifting a certain weight, if your muscle is weak, you will have to apply more force to lift that weight. That force is the pressure. that if I can make that muscle stronger by doing a particular activity repeatedly, then eventually I require less effort. So by doing regular exercise, you might be moving your body, which means you're using your muscles. But indirectly, you are actually making your heart do the exercise. Because anytime we do any type of physical movement, we are basically increasing the demand of blood supply for that muscle. And to supply that blood, your heart will have to work more. And when I say heart has to work more, your heart is also a muscle. It's an organ which is like a cavity, which is filled with blood, but the wall of that heart is muscle. So for that heart to pump that extra blood to your body, it will also have to pump more number of times, work more number of times. And that's how that muscle will become stronger and stronger. So if it is becoming stronger, means now it has to apply less force to pump that blood to your body. And less force means less blood pressure. Okay. So basically by doing exercise is going to take the load of your heart. What are the benefits of exercise? So there is a lot of evidence. So it's not something which we are just putting as a comment. There's a proper research, lot of research findings available which are showing definite results that if I do regular exercise, it is going to help in improving my overall heart. It has a cardioprotective effect, which means it's going to reduce my risk of suffering from cardiovascular diseases. It's also going to reduce all the risk factors, as we've understood all the modifiable risk factors, which is your blood pressure, your diabetes, your cholesterol, your weight. So it has got a cardioprotective effect. And specifically when we are talking of blood pressure, we saw there are two numbers, a higher number and a lower number. Irrespective of whichever number is on the higher side, okay, in terms of suffering from high blood pressure, you doing regular exercise is going to give you benefit on both the numbers. So it's going to reduce your systolic blood pressure also and reduce your diastolic blood pressure. Exercise can reduce chances of developing hypertension by almost 50%. So here we are talking of prevention. So we are not only looking at exercise in terms of managing hypertension, but also preventing hypertension. And as we have seen the incidence, almost 30-35% of the population is suffering from hypertension. And sedentary lifestyle has been considered in one of the top 5 risk factors for suffering from severe heart disease. Okay, so if I can really improve my physical activity, I'm actually reducing also my chances of suffering from high blood pressure. In hypertensives, obviously, if I'm going to start exercising regularly, it will also help me in reducing my dependency on medicines. So although you might be started on certain medicines, does not mean that you will have to take it lifelong. Okay, eventually the dosage of the medicine can be reduced, and if still further improvement can be created through lifestyle, the medicines can be stopped as well. Although we do say exercise is beneficial for most of the people, in certain people exercise can be harmful if at all your blood pressure is really very high. And that is where regular checkups are very important, because hypertension is a silent killer. Okay, we would rarely have any symptoms, even if your blood pressure might be 180 by 100, you would not know about it. So if you are hypertensive, are on medications, very important that you get your blood pressure checked regularly through your family doctor, or whichever way possible by doing home monitoring also. So at times, if your blood pressure is on the higher side, okay, so we do have certain guidelines that if your blood pressure is more than or equal to 180 by 110, then exercise can actually be harmful. So in such a situation, you definitely need to seek immediate medical attention and see whatever changes need to be made in your medication, either number of medicines or the dosage of medicines. And unless it comes below a certain desirable level, exercise can be avoided. But otherwise, exercise is recommended for each and every person. So what is the adaptation effect? How do we really benefit? As I explained in the first beginning point of the lecture, that as you do regular exercise, your heart muscle becomes stronger. So the two numbers that we are getting, the higher number and the lower number, is basically because of the function of my heart and the way your heart works. So your heart is like a pump which is going to contract and relax. So obviously when it contracts, the force generation is more. When it relaxes, the force generation is less. And that is why we are getting these two numbers. So one of the factors which is responsible for the blood pressure is the force of your heart's contraction. And as I do regular exercise, my muscle is becoming stronger. My heart will have to apply less force, and my blood pressure will become better. The second way it can help us is basically the blood vessels, which are carrying blood to the different parts of the body. These blood vessels, as an adaptive effect to exercise, they would expand, they would dilate. Okay, now it's like a pipe. So very commonly we explain the cardiovascular system similar to the plumbing system in our building or in our house. So you have those water pipes which are carrying water to the different houses. If at all there is some kachra in that pipe, automatically the flow of the water in that tap will become slow. Why? Because now there is resistance to that blood, to that water. A similar effect is happening in our blood vessels also. Okay, so basically because of the pressure, the walls of the arteries, they become damaged. And also at a certain time, there can be little resistance to that blood flow because the wall of that blood vessel is also having some thickness. But as I do regular exercise, these blood vessels can expand. What we say, they can dilate. So if they are expanding, means now my blood can pass easily. The resistance to that blood flow can become less. So that is the second way how exercise can help us in controlling our blood pressure. One is by making my heart muscle stronger, then by reducing the force, and second by reducing the peripheral resistance that the blood encounters. So in general, how much exercise should I do? Now that's the main question. If I'm saying exercise is good, everyone will have that doubt as to how much should I do. So there are again standard guidelines whereby we all need to follow that guidelines to get optimal benefit of exercise. See, at the end, exercise is also a type of physical stress on the body. So doing too much also can be harmful, and doing too little also might be, I don't say waste of time, but it might not give you a desired benefit. So we need to do exercise also in a certain optimal quantity. So as per the guidelines, it says that everyone, okay, again, this is for prevention also, so not only for people who are suffering from high blood pressure, that everyone should do at least 30 minutes. That's the first criteria. So that's the goal to achieve. Now, you might be a very unfit person. If I say first day only do 30 minutes, you might not be able to. You can start with 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The goal is to reach that 30 minutes duration minimum. So everyone should do at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity. Now, what do you mean by moderate intensity? Now, intensity is what as to how much effort you are putting while you're doing that activity. So when I use the word moderate basically means that I need to feel that whatever activity I'm doing is somewhat hard. So there is a certain exertion scale that we follow to explain to people as to how can you decide what is moderate. Let's say, for example, you're walking, and I ask you that while you're walking, how would you rate that walking? Is it very easy for you? Is it fairly easy? Is it somewhat hard? Is it hard? Is it very hard? Okay, now this is your perception. I am not telling you walk at this speed. Whatever speed you are walking, you are telling me that that walk is fairly light for you, or that walk is somewhat hard for you, or that walk is hard for you, whatever it is. So what we say that you should do a moderate intensity physical activity means that you should have that feeling of somewhat hard. That you need to feel that you are putting some effort while doing that walk. If at all, whatever you're doing is very comfortable for you, then probably you are not getting that much benefit out of it. So there are people who would come to us with a history that yes, I have been going to Shivaji Park every day and I take these 3 rounds every day, and I've been doing that since last 10 years now. If since last 10 years you are doing the same 3 rounds, then probably now you are not getting that much benefit out of it. Either you should have increased that from 3 to 4 to 5, or probably the timing in which you are covering those 3 rounds should become less. Because your heart adapts to whatever you do repetitively. Okay, and adaptation is good, which means your heart is becoming better. But now if my heart is so used to that effort, it will not get that desired benefit. So, which means that that moderate intensity definition will keep changing all the time. What I'm able to do today, which is moderate intensity for me, probably after 1 year, it might become low intensity. Okay, why? Because your fitness will go on improving. So there is always a scope for improvement, which means your activity level should always, you can definitely go on increasing little. Okay, so that's the second part, at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity for at least 5 days in a week. Again, that's the target to achieve. Again, someone who is a sedentary, I tell them try to do every day, might be difficult. Let's start alternate days first, 3 days in a week. If you are now comfortable with that, we can increase it to 4 days. Eventually, at least 5 days in the whole week you try to. Okay, now, these are like minimum guidelines what we are looking at. There are people who might say that, I mean, I'm so busy the entire week, 5 days, I cannot, I mean, all 5 days in the office from Monday to Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, regularly I go out and I do 1 hour of good exercise, which is good, but then it's still not enough. You need to add 1 more day, you need to add 2 more days, okay, you need to take out some time. Okay, so we are asking you to do only 30 minutes. I'm not asking you to do 2 hours. Okay, at least 30 minutes. So total what we are looking at in a week, if I can accumulate, okay, at least 150 minutes of that moderate intensity physical activity, that will have a very good cardioprotective effect. This is like the minimum guideline that we are looking at. Okay, the most important in that is that I should be doing moderate intensity aerobic activity. Now, what do you mean by aerobic activity? Anyone, any examples of aerobic activity? Dance karo, okay, fantastic. Running, okay. Zumba, okay. Talk something basic. Walking, isn't it? Walking is something brisk walking, okay, walking, cycling, swimming. I mean, these are like regular activities that we can think of. Surya Namaskar, okay, but now that's a debatable question. Is Surya Namaskar an aerobic activity or not? Okay, now we'll have to discuss that a little later on. So the point here is I need to do a aerobic activity. So what is aerobic activity? Aerobic activity is something where I'm doing it on a continuous basis, first of all. And I'm doing it for a little prolonged period of time. And more importantly, where I'm using large muscle groups of my body. So primarily we say our leg muscles, they're like big muscles. So any activity where I can use my legs, they can qualify as a aerobic activity. But when can I call it as an exercise? Only if I want to suffice this criteria. Just doing walking and calling it as I'm doing an aerobic activity or aerobic exercise will not be correct. Why? Because I might be walking only at the speed of 3 kilometers per hour for 1 hour. In 1 hour, I'm doing 3 kilometers. And I think I'm doing walking for 1 hour every day, which is not correct. It can be called as an aerobic exercise only if I do that walking at a good speed and do it for a prolonged period of time. So I need to do 30 minutes of moderate intense aerobic activity for at least 5 days. Now this is basic. Okay, irrespective of what age you are, everyone should do this. Okay, now to add to that, if I can add 2 days of some amount of muscle strengthening activities, some amount of flexibility based exercises, then it will have an overall impact on my quality of life. So when we talk of fitness, some people think who can run a marathon is a very fitness. But if I ask that person, can you bend down and touch your feet? No, I cannot. Then probably he might not be very fit. So fitness is not only being able to run. Fitness is about many different components. Okay, fitness is also about strength. Fitness is also about your flexibility. Fitness is also about your stamina. Okay, so we need to see that if I want to really improve my overall quality of life, I need to work on all those fitness components. Just being able to walk for 1 hour is not enough. I should be able to sit down also. I should be able to lift a bag and walk also. So strength is also equally important and your flexibility is also equally important. So at least 2 days in a week, if I can add some amount of muscle strengthening exercises, some amount of stretching. So that's probably where Surya Namaskar can come into picture. Okay, is going to be a very good, complete, comprehensive program of activity which everyone should be able to. Okay, so these are the minimum guidelines we are talking about. If at all in this, if I'm able to bump it up, increase my intensity instead of moderate intensity, someone is doing running, which becomes a good vigorous intensity, then yes, you need not do it for 5 days, you can do it for 3 days also. And instead of 30 minutes, I can do it for 25 minutes also. Okay, so yes, if intensity is increasing, the number of days can be reduced. But in general, what we do suggest, something which everyone can do is moderate intensity for 5 days in a week. And that is what you'll read everywhere in different types of newspaper articles and health magazines, that if I want to prevent heart disease, if I want to control my risk factors, I need to do this. Okay, so this is one basic guideline that we are looking at. So as you can see, whether it's a cardiac patient or an elderly person, doesn't matter. Okay, many of the times people feel that can elderly people lift weights or not. I would say it is all the more important for elderly people to lift weights compared to younger people. More important for elderly people to go to gyms compared to younger people. Okay, because they would need that more comprehensive structured program to focus more on their body as compared to the young individuals who are naturally having that strength. Okay, so gyms, going to health centers, definitely senior citizens, it's a must, I would say. Okay, just being able to walk is not enough, because at this age, your muscles are becoming weaker, your bones are becoming weaker. So it's not only about your heart, but your overall health that you have to focus on. And that is where doing a comprehensive program and wide varieties of programs can be done, irrespective of what problem you have. As I said, exercise is good for everyone. So we have so many of our bypass patients also now running half marathon. That's also possible. Okay, so there's no limit to how much you can achieve. It's just about how much you are making your heart used to or capable of doing more and more. Okay. Second part is, many times people have this doubt that if I'm having high blood pressure, can I lift a weight or not? I mean, let's say for younger individuals who are really into heavy lifting, going to gyms, okay, and they might be suffering from high blood pressure also. So it's quite a common advice given by physicians also that don't lift weights, you know. So that taboo is there, that resistance training is bad, right? But it's not completely bad. You need to understand at what level you should not do it and till what level you are able to do it. So when we talk of resistance training, basically it's all about doing it in the correct form. The most important thing what we need to understand is when I'm lifting a weight, okay, you are straining yourself, especially when we talk of heavy weight. So let's say you have to carry your heavy luggage bag and you have to lift it and put it in the flight cabin. Okay, so by lifting that, you are going to strain. Okay, you are going to put maximal effort in a very short period of time. So when effort is being put maximal in a short period, that can lead to a sudden rise in the blood pressure. But if I can have the correct technique of doing it, so no matter what weight you are lifting, if you have the correct technique of doing it, then it can still become safe. So first and foremost, most important is that you should never hold your breath while you are lifting a weight. So what I normally do, this is what we do when people are lifting those heavy dumbbells. That's the common technique. But when you are doing that, you're actually constricting your blood vessels in your chest area, which is actually reducing the blood flow and thereby increasing your blood pressure. But instead of that, if I can breathe out, if I breathe out while I'm lifting the weight, I will not allow the blood pressure to shoot up. So the first and foremost, what we teach everyone when they're doing exercises and lifting weights also is to always breathe out when you lift the weight, no matter what heavy weight you're lifting. But if the technique is correct, you will prevent those harmful effects from happening. Okay, so learning the correct form is very, very important. Again, for people who are having high blood pressure, we do suggest that instead of lifting heavy weights, why don't you lift a little lighter weight and lift it for more number of times? So let's focus on more repetitions rather than heavy weight and lifting for less time. Let's do say less weight but 15 times. So by doing that also, you're still improving your strength, you're still improving your endurance of the muscle, and obviously causing less harmful effect on your blood pressure. So lift lighter weights for more times. Also at times, if I can give a little rest to my muscle. So exercise, if I can divide between upper body and lower body, or I can alternate. So let's say one exercise I did upper body, then after that I do one lower body, in upper body. So that way there's some rest also being given to the muscle, and eventually the effect on the blood pressure will also be less. Advice against doing isometric exercise. Isometric means what? That don't try to hold a fixed position for a long period of time. Okay, so very commonly when we do like a plank is what? You're going to rest your body on your elbows and your toes. Very good exercise to increase the strength of your core muscles, you know. But again, while doing that, people do have a tendency to hold their breaths. So isometric is very common. So again, there also, if I can focus on breathing out regularly, focus on normal breathing, I will not allow, I may not have any harmful effect. But in general, if I can avoid isometric for people who are having high blood pressure, that can also be fine. And lastly, obviously, as I mentioned about postural hypotension. So when we are doing certain exercise on the floor and you are on medications, there are chances that when you suddenly get up from a lying down position, there can be a momentary drop in your blood pressure, because of which you start feeling a little giddiness for a few seconds. Okay, so to avoid that, obviously, if you can change your position a little slowly, let's say from a flat lying down, if you can turn on one side and then gradually get up. When normally people, when getting down from the car, also they feel it. So they step out of the car and stand, they feel that giddiness for a few seconds. So the thing is that can happen. I mean, which I cannot directly avoid if it's going to happen. But at that moment of time, be careful. Don't move immediately. Allow that giddiness to stop, and then probably you can make it. Okay. So these are certain precautions you can take while you're doing resistance training. You can definitely do it. It is important. Just see if you can reduce the weight and increase the number of times and focus on the correct technique of doing it. That would be more helpful. In general, we do say that I want you to be active throughout the day. And that's a very, I mean, nowadays this is very, very popular that people are focusing on covering 10,000 steps every day. And you know, so many apps are there on the mobile, and that's a target which is set, okay, which is also good. But the question here is, if there are two people, someone who is regularly going to a gym or outdoor and doing a regular 1 hour of moderate intensity brisk walk, and as opposed to that, someone else is there, let's suppose in a marketing field, walking throughout the day, does not have time to go to a gym or do that regimental 1 hour exercise. But in that entire daily routine, he's covering 10,000, 15,000 steps also. Like I also do around 14, 15,000. So now between these two people, whom do I advise what? Who is doing correct or who is better off? Doing that 1 hour of exercise is good, or covering that 15,000 steps in the whole day is good? Yes, anyone? First one. Okay. But then again, the question is that fellow tells me that I do exercise every day 1 hour, but after that I'm in the office sitting the whole day for 10, 12 hours. There is no time for me to get up. I go home in the night, eat dinner and sleep. But 1 hour exercise in the morning, I'm at the gym, very regular. Now what? Combination. Correct. So basically, when we want to differentiate between these two, the first fellow is doing that 1 hour of regimental activity, is doing exercise. And the second fellow who is covering 15,000 steps in a day is doing physical activity. There's a difference between exercise and physical activity. Okay, physical activity is something where I'm not doing it in a measured way. Means what? I mean, it's not structured. I might be taking those 15,000 steps in 4 hours, 5 hours time. Okay, or 6 hours time. I might be walking very slowly from my house to the station, which is hardly say 200 meters or so, but I take around 9, 10, 15 minutes and I'm covering some steps. So that way I might be covering 15,000 steps at a very low intensity. So that way it might not end up giving me that aerobic benefit which I'm looking for. So when we are looking at cardio protection, probably just doing that 15,000 steps is not enough. I need to still do something which is more structured. When you're looking at a target for weight loss, I doing 15,000 steps, I'm burning calories. That is there. So it's nothing but caloric expenditure, but not giving you that cardio protective effect unless you do it at a good speed all the time. Then yes, but otherwise, as a differentiation between the two, exercise would be more better compared to physical activity, but at the same time, sitting for long hours is also bad. So that person who is exercising also needs to take out time every 1-2 hours and let's say do at least 5-10 minutes of physical activity in between and thereby cover whatever number of steps he can. But to reduce those number of sitting hours is very, very important. Okay, it has been now well researched that sitting for long hours is the next smoking. It is as bad as smoking. Okay, we focus so much of smoking as a very bad thing, but sitting for long duration is also equally bad. So you need to get up every 1 hour. Let's say walk for just 2 minutes. I'm not telling you to do too much also. It's just probably getting off your chair, moving around, taking a few steps and then sitting. So that way also, along with that 1 hour exercise, if you are covering 3,000 steps, 4,000 steps is also more than enough. And along with the 15,000 steps, if I can spare at least half an hour where I can do an activity continuously and at a good intensity, that is also what is the best thing. So we need to have a combination of both. Just doing one thing is not enough. Okay. Common blood pressure myths that people have. Some of the myths sir has already said. Myth 1, high blood pressure runs in my family. So I mean, I'm also going to get it. No point me taking any precaution, which is wrong. Yes, you do have the genes, but if you can take adequate precautions, you can reduce your chances of getting it. It's not like a guaranteed thing that everyone in the family will get. Okay, it all depends on how you take care of yourself. I don't use table salt, so I'm in control of my sodium intake. No, as we see that there is so much of hidden salt which is present in so many food items. It's not only the salt which we use for cooking or which we put on our salad and anything. There's also all of these preservatives and the ketchups and the sauces which are also very high in sodium, and that also need to be careful. People with high BP have nervousness, swelling, headache, difficulty sleeping. I don't have any of those things. I don't have high BP. No. Blood pressure, high blood pressure is a silent problem. You might not have any problems even if your blood pressure is 180/100 or more. Myth 4, I was diagnosed with high BP, but now I've been maintaining lower readings so I can stop medication. Well, that is the doctor's decision. By yourself, you should not take any call. If your blood pressure is staying good, which you are monitoring at home, excellent. Go and visit your doctor, let him decide if your dose has to be reduced or if the tablet can be stopped. And after which, again, regular follow-up will be required to figure out if after stopping the medicine also, is your blood pressure continuing to remain lower, I mean normal or not. If yes, then yes, you're off. If not, if it's again shooting up, you will have to be put again on medicine. Okay. So just regular follow-up is most important with your doctor, with your family doctor, or whoever is your treating physician. Just don't think that because I'm taking medicine, so everything is fine. Okay, as you've seen the different prevalence rates, okay, 50% of the people don't know that they are suffering from high BP, and out of whoever is knowing that and taking medications are taking inadequate therapy. Means they have started the medicine, but after which they have not followed it with the doctor, and they don't know that whether that prescribed medicine is giving that desired effect or not. So unless you regularly check it, you will not come to it. And last, it's okay as long as one number is normal. No, both the numbers are equally important. Okay, if I say 120/80 or 140/90, whatever, don't think that many of the people have that perception. कि ऊपर वाला number ज़्यादा रहेगा तो चलेगा. Especially elderly people, they have that thought process. Okay, 150 at the age of 60 is fine. Okay, it is accepted. See, naturally, aging will have that effect that as your age is increasing, because your heart muscle is becoming a little weaker, it will have to apply more force, and thereby your systolic can be expected to be higher. But that does not mean that you take it as normal. You have to bring it down to that 120/80 or lower, or 130/85 or lower. Okay, whatever is the goal that is set by a doctor. Don't accept it as normal. Okay, and plus both the numbers are putting your health at equal risk. Don't think that systolic is should be normal and diastolic thoda zyada rahega chalega, या vice versa. No, both are equally important. You need to keep both of them under normal levels. Hypertension in young people, very, very common. Okay, as a protocol, I mean, at the center that we run, where we have patients also and we have young people also come for exercise, irrespective of what your age is, how good you might be looking, unless we check your blood pressure, we don't allow you to start with the exercise. Okay, so it is very common for high blood pressure to be there in young people. 30% as sir said, okay, as per the prevalence. So now also if people do, there are like how many, 70, 80 people. I won't say guaranteed, but at least 20, 30 people will have high blood pressure. Isn't it? Is that way? So especially young people, when they are detected with high blood pressure and they are going to gyms, and if we tell them, I mean, majority of the young people do come to gyms to bulk up, to increase their muscle size, to become a little bigger, okay? And females also. Okay, although we say the incidence will be less in females compared to males, but it is there. Okay, so that, I mean, they are all motivated to push hard, but that is where a lot of this counseling is required. That if you are detected with high blood pressure, and because majority of the youngsters are interested only in lifting weights and not really thinking of doing good aerobic or cardiovascular exercise, we have to counsel them that don't restrict yourself to only weightlifting. Think of adding some cardiovascular activity also, where you're running on the treadmill, where you're doing some cycling or going out for swimming. Add these aerobic activities also to your, I'm not saying don't do weight training, don't lift weights, don't do muscle building. But along with that, add some amount of cardiovascular exercise also. So very simple, if my blood pressure is, let's say, more than 160 by 100, let's start with some cardiovascular exercise to start with. Let's see if the exercise can give us some benefits. Along with that, if any medications are prescribed by the doctor, we take that. And we might lift very, very light weights, just to use that muscle, not lifting any heavy weights. Okay. Eventually, also look into my nutrition aspect, reduce my salt intake, meet with the doctor, start with the medication. Blood pressure starts coming under control, you start lifting heavy weights. Okay, so it's not that we are telling you complete no to do a certain thing. It all depends on how much you are able to manage your blood pressure and keep it under control. If yes, you can enjoy everything. Okay, there's no restriction on anything. Certain roadblocks which people can have. Okay, people will have their own excuses for not following certain advices. Some will say, I don't like it. I mean, it's okay. If you don't like, you don't like. But let's figure out ways how you can start enjoying the exercise. That is also important. I mean, our role is to motivate people to become more and more physically active. So if you can have a group, okay, if you can go out for an activity with a friend, okay, I mean, they can motivate each other. It does happen. When you're exercising in a group, it does help. No, there, if someone is waking you up in the morning, so let's go. Same thing with my wife also. Okay, unless my son's batchmate's mother does not come for a walk, she will not go for a walk. Okay, only if they two are there, they'll go for a walk. Very standard routine. Okay, so that it's good, nah? At least so if one of them is going, automatically the other person is motivated. Okay, so walk with a friend. If you can join an outdoor club, experiment with different activities if possible. It does happen that you can become bored of doing the same thing every day. The same half an hour routine every day in the morning, I go for a walk. But if I can have some variation, okay, either you go to a gym setup, or if you can do some cycling, go to a swimming pool. You might not do very vigorous activity in that pool, but if you just simply walk in that pool also, it is at least making you do an activity and you are staying interested in doing an activity, rather than becoming bored of something and stopping it completely. So have some variations in your activity, which will increase your adherence to the physical activity. So make exercise social. That's also very important. Okay. I mean, so people have these groups nowadays, they go out for an activity. At the end of that walk, people will sit, chit chat, go out for tea, coffee, whatever it is, you know. So that socialization along with your exercises is very, very important. We have a group of cardiac patients who go for an out, especially the ones who are doing marathon running regularly. So every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, they would meet. There are around 15 odd people. They would meet at different locations. Once Tuesday, they will meet at BKC, and this is like at 5 o'clock in the morning, okay? 5:30 in the morning. All their photographs are there in the Asian Art Institute also. So they would meet at BKC on Tuesday, at Jew Beach on Thursday, and at near the Bandra Fort on a Saturday. So different locations, first of all, so different challenges. On the Bandra Fort side, they would also run on a little slope at times. So different challenge at all times, and everyone's birthday and anniversary or whatever is celebrated after the walk, whatever date it is. So that's the socialization. They're looking forward to it. Okay. So the more you can do it in groups, enjoy the activity, your adherence to that activity increases. Certain other roadblocks, I don't have time to exercise. Okay, now that's a very standard excuse that people have. Okay, but at the end, you are doing it for yourself, isn't it? It's not for me that you're doing. If you have to take out time, you're doing it for yourself. So you need to spare that. I'm not asking you to do too much also. Only half an hour is what I'm asking you. So take out time for yourself. Okay, all these people. I mean, do you think they don't have any work to do? Everyone has got work to do. Everyone is busy, but still they take out time. Isn't it? They would attend those gyms or go out for a walk, whatever it is. So you have to take out that time for yourself. And along with that, as I said, if you can add some physical activity during the day. Okay, set targets like 3,000, 4,000 steps, climb stairs wherever possible, park your car away from your destination so that you have to walk that distance compulsorily. Okay, so these small activities, you stay in a building, okay, lift is there, but let's say climb 2 floors. Get down 2 floors before your floor and then climb up. So have that habit of doing those fixed activities and add those number of steps. Physical activity is a very, very, very strong medicine. So if there is one medicine, if we say, which can really help you to prevent so many of these lifestyle problems, whether it's cholesterol or sugar or blood pressure, it is exercise. You need to think of exercise as a medicine. If you do that, automatically your regularity will be there, your adherence will be there, and it will really help you to reduce your dependency on medication. Your quality of life, drugs or medicines will not improve your quality of life. Your quality of life will come only through physical activity. Okay, and that is what is our goal. At the end, I mean, whether you are 50 today or 55 today, whatever you are doing today, you should be able to do it after 10 years also. Then you can say your quality of life is good. Naturally, if you accept that as my age increases, my activity levels are bound to go down, since you are not putting in that effort. I want you to be capable enough to do anything you desire to, even at the age of 70, 75, 80 also. Okay, so basically become physically capable and mentally confident of doing anything that you want to do, and which can happen only by doing regular exercise. Thank you very much. Yeah.
The last slide you mentioned that think is very it is only
See, sometimes some people basically, let's say to start with, someone who is not used to climbing stairs at all. Okay, and I tell them climb 2 floors every day. So let's start with climbing down first, which is more easier. Once you are putting that habit, you will start climbing up also. Arthritis, that's a different thing. But in general, just as a habit forming, I'm saying, for someone not used to doing it, start by climbing down, eventually do both the things.
That going to the gym, is it fine to do it up?
Yes. I'm just saying this is one option. You can do home-based exercises also. Okay, and you can use your body weight itself as a good resistance to do so many things. So it doesn't matter where you do it, it's about doing it whichever way possible.
So can we put adaptations that you had stop an exercise?
Absolutely. So very common thing that people have a myth about even going to gyms, that I went to a gym, I lost so much weight, which was fantastic, but for some reason after that I could not go to the gym and my weight came back again. So this gym, going to gym is not useful. That weight comes back if I go. Which is obvious, because whatever benefits you had got by going to the gym, if you were to stop doing any of those activities or not do anything else replacing that, you are bound to lose those benefits. None of these benefits are permanent. All these benefits are reversible if you stop doing those good things. Okay, so during COVID time, so many people who are very fit also are practically, I mean, couple of my cardiac patients also regularly coming to gyms in the last 15, 18 years. 2 years did not move out of the house, now are on a wheelchair. As bad as that. Okay, because so much of fear, again, I don't blame him as a person. Many of the times, family also, because of the concern for COVID, did not allow them to step out of the house. Again, because of the age factor. And very reduced, right from doing, say, half an hour of cycling and walking regularly to not doing anything, they are now on a wheelchair. So whatever benefits you get are completely reversible if you stop doing anything which you are doing regularly.
We are doing yoga and
Correct.
doing any physical exercise.
So yoga again, so I mean, sir had also mentioned about talking something about yoga. So when I said physical activity, as we said, fitness is all about different components. Okay, me being capable of doing something continuously, lifting a weight or even stretching. So yoga, I say, is a combination of two things. One is when you do certain postures and you are holding those postures, which is mainly improving your flexibility because you are stretching those muscles. And second aspect is when you do different types of breathing activities, what we call it as pranayama. And pranayama definitely can be a very useful thing for people suffering from high blood pressure because your entire focus is on that breathing. And when I'm doing that, I'm actually diverting my mind from that disturbing thought. And one of the factors for high blood pressure can be mental stress. Okay, so I need to find out some technique by which I can relax my mind. And that's where pranayama can be one of those techniques which can be used as a relaxation technique. Might not be applicable for everyone. As I'm saying, one of the technique. I mean, I might not able to do that, but I enjoy listening to music. For me, that is relaxation. For someone else, playing a sport can be relaxation, or someone else watching TV might be relaxation. So whichever thing can help you to distract your mind from that disturbing thought can help you in relieving that stress. And that is where yoga, along with pranayama, can be very, very useful.
Do we have any more questions for sir?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much sir, for your valuable insight. It's very easy for exercise to take a back seat. We can always focus on our diet, but exercise is something we don't really talk about. So I'm very thankful, sir, for sharing, for you to share with us the importance of exercising for controlling high BP levels. Thank you so much, sir. I now request Mrs. Hartika Veera to present the token of appreciation for Dr. Kiran Sangani, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to invite on the dais Dr. Ambadekar, sir. Sir, if you allow us, can we have 3 questions? Please? Any questions for Dr. Ambadekar? Sir, we have received a couple of questions. The first question is, sir, you mentioned about cigarette smoking as a modifiable risk factor. Now, if you see, there are a lot of teenagers and young adults who are using e-cigarettes, Juuls and vapes. So is there also an association between those and high BP?
Yes, of course. Answer is yes. There is association. And therefore, smoking of any kind, and that's why, in fact, I've gone a step further and said tobacco in any form is equally bad. Because many people say, मैं तो ना वो तंबाकू का गोली बनाए इधर रखना हूँ 5 मिनट के पक्को फेंक देता हूँ पेट में गया ही नहीं तो कैसे हो रहा है Please remember that the tobacco juice enters the bloodstream from the skin of inside your mouth. If you remember, there is a tablet which is given to the heart patients. उनको बताया जाता है कि छाती में दर्द हुआ ना जीभ के नीचे रखना वो लेते हैं और 2-3 मिनट में दर्द गायब वैसे गायब हो गया गोली पेट में गई नहीं like the tablet gets dissolved and absorbed in the mouth itself. Therefore, tobacco juice also goes from here. So tobacco in any form, e-cigarettes, a different kind of smoking. But yes, yes.
So what about these hookahs which are tobacco-free hookahs? They are just flavorful tobacco-free hookahs. And then young adults are very proud. They are not taking tobacco, but it still gives them the flavor.
But why are they taking? So what are they getting from it? See, anything, like there has to be something which will make them addicted.
Yes.
Still,
To hang out, to socialize, to look cool also.
does it look cool?
Yes, what they do is they probably smoke out those drinks.
You will look,
I live in not.
You will not go.
We have come across a lot.
Yeah, you will not go. Will you like a boyfriend doing that? So it's not cool at all. It's not cool at all. So, for thrill and for being cool, there are many other good things which certainly can be done.
It becomes a little difficult when we have such young clients to tell them this is not cool. They're like, you will not understand, you are older than us.
Anybody who can get hooked to it, that means something is happening there. Therefore, certainly it is bad. And people who give us smoking, they have never reduced and given up. Like even if like this, otherwise they are not good. All those people who come with heart attacks and they get admitted, उनका smoking में छूट जाता है. कैसे? कल तक तो 25 पी रहा था, आज तो बंद. I have a patient who used to smoke 50 to 60 cigarettes a day. Right? 50 to 60. तो मतलब chain smoker जिसे कहते हैं true sense. एक cigarette से दूसरे जलाना. He never required ऐसा वो जला के नहीं. So once he started from work, घर काम के जाने के लिए, सीढ़ी ऊपर की जा रहा था and suddenly he remembered अरे cigarette packet ऊपर रह गया. So he went up. चाबी थी, दरवाजा खोला, अंदर गया. He knew that उधर टिपॉय पे cigarette packet and lighter है. So he turned there and that time he saw that his 3-year-old daughter ने cigarette movie लिया था and she was trying to light it. See, children always try to copy the parents. He looked at that, something hit his ear, उसके हाथ से खींच लिया, दोनों खिड़की से फेंक दिया and thereafter never smoked. Somebody smoking 50 to 60. And that time we were asking, and we used to ask him, ऐसा craving नहीं होता है क्या? बोलते 1000 बार होता है. Every time he said sometimes he went to the cigarette shop also, लिया भी, and आंखों के सामने बच्ची का चेहरा आ गया. Last year that girl got married, and that time we remembered, ये लड़की ने अपने बाप का cigarette छुपाया. So that means it's not that alone. Something has to hit you there. So say cigarette addiction is here. It's not body addiction. It's not like brown sugar or morphine or something. Where even for de-addiction, we have to keep on giving small dose, धीरे-धीरे बंद करना पड़ता है. It's not like that with smoking. Smoking is psychological addiction. You give up like this.
Everything is in mind.
Yes, everything is.
Some people would say, unless I smoke, I cannot pass motion. I cannot. But now, if for some problem you are admitted to hospital for 7 days, you will not smoke, but still pass motion.
That's
Thank you so much, Dr. Ambadekar, for comprehensively answering all the questions. Next, we have Dr. Ambadekar, a huge round. I request Mr. Ajay Gundela to please come on desk to felicitate Dr. Ambadekar, please. Thank you, Dr. Ambadekar. Thank you, Mr. Ajay. Dr. Kiran just mentioned a quote. Do you all remember what the quote was? Something about sitting. Sitting is the new smoking, right? Sitting is the new smoking. And we have been sitting for a long time, right? Yes. So how about we move and stretch a little? Would you all like to do that? Yes. Yes. So I have for you all a very interesting activity. And next, please welcome some young exercise experts, our students from LSI. there's a slight change in the program. We have this activity a little later. First, we are going to be announcing the winners for the low salt, low sugar competition that was conducted in light of World Hypertension Day 2023. So we conducted a low salt, low sugar competition, and we have received around 60 entries from all across India. So I would now like to invite Dr. Mrs. Anuradha Mitra ma'am to share her valuable inputs and to also announce the name of the winners of the recipe competition. Please welcome Dr. Mrs. Mitra to huge round of applause.
Can I have some silence, please? Yes. I know all of us have been sitting the whole afternoon and you're looking forward to this little exercise thing. But however, I have a little bit of an emergency, so I will have to leave. If you all can go back to your seats, I won't take much of the time. Yeah. So, first of all, I want to congratulate all the participants who are taking part in this recipe competition. Sometimes what happens is we give a lot of importance to the actual clinical aspect of nutrition without realizing that the clinical aspect is of no use if the practical application of that is not in place. And that is where the recipe comes in. Now, the concept of a recipe is changing for us thanks to the YouTube and the Instagrams, where people are showing a whole lot of fancy looking, exciting recipes. But remember that those recipes and those kind of foods are not for our sustenance. They are just to give us one of the shots, or like just now Alva talked about a thread. And too much of it is definitely not good. Now, when you talk of cooking, we say it is an art and a science. An art which has to be executed scientifically is how I take it as a nutritionist, and not a science to be executed artistically. The main difference is that what you are eating is what you are going to be and what is going to be your health. It's a reflection of your health. And not only physical health, your social, mental, and emotional health as well. Because food is a symbol of many, many things in our lives. Right from the time a child is born, from the naming ceremony to the death ceremony, we have food, and different foods are symbols and replicas or instances of what goes with what. So you associate a particular event or a particular festival with a particular food. And therefore, we know that in all cultures and traditions, how much importance food is. Now, as I was looking at all the recipes, and even before, there has been a drastic change when we evaluate recipes online and we evaluate recipes physically. Physically, because one of the things that attracts you to the food is not just the looks, but the aroma. And when you evaluate something online, that is missing. So when you get attracted to a food, remember it is not, so you're passing by a bakery, you're not looked at anything. It is just a whiff. It is just a smell. When you're entering your home, you get a smell and you feel either happy or arey, wapas kar do. You know, that kind of a thing comes on in your mind. So there is a difference. There is also a difference of when, how, and what the evaluation is about. So I have been evaluating a lot of recipes over the years and also online in the past couple of years. But there are a few things which I would like to share. Also, Sonal Modi was co-evaluating with me. So she has, both of us have given a little bit of a feedback, which will be useful for you, even for your future, whenever you plan to participate in anything. So like I told you, cooking or recipe formulations are an art, which have to be scientifically executed. The ingredients have to be simple, easy to procure, inexpensive, if you want your recipe to be sustainable. The key word of anything that you are going to create is sustainability. If it is a one-time thing, that's a different matter. But remember, you're doing this for controlling hypertension. It has a meaning behind it, this competition. So when you're doing it to control hypertension, you want your recipe to be sustainable. So it has to be simple ingredients, inexpensive, easy to get. Don't have to run across the city to search for something fancy like that. Also, the method, it should not be overwhelming. If I'm preparing something which is so very complicated and overwhelming, I will not repeat it the next time. That is one. Thirdly, we have to remember that at the end of the day, the gut level taste is what we all crave for. So you may like all kinds of fusion cooking, multi-cuisine, this, that, and the other. Somewhere down the line, you will say, oh, kab dal chawal mile. That kind of thing. So if you are making a recipe for a particular clinical reason, let it appeal to the gut. So that is why you all were given regional differences, regional, Western. Now, which reminds me that I was not aware that quinoa and oats are traditionally Indian. I don't know, maybe I am not up to the mark in that kind of information. But when regional things are given, many of them came up with this. But yes, you can adapt. But don't say that it is from the region. It's an adaptation. You have replaced probably the cereal of that region with this kind. That's fine. We can do all that. But then you don't give it the tag of being a traditional or regional. So you have to be very careful about that. Then one more thing is that also remember acceptability is very important. So gathering hypertensive ingredients, gathering a few things which nutritionally or scientifically are good and putting it all mishmash to give a recipe may be good on paper. Your sodium is this much, your calories are this much, everything perfect. But what about acceptability? Who's going to eat it? Finally, somebody has to accept it. That is it. Also, there has to be clarity about what you are preparing, how you are preparing. Some people had given in the method baking, roasting, boiling. That is not the method of the recipe. You have to tell me how. You can't presume that I know. You have to always start that the person there doesn't know anything. So if I'm giving a list of ingredients, I have to have clarity about the amounts. If I'm giving in spoons, teaspoons, I continue like that. If I give in grams, I continue like that. I can't have one ingredient in grams, the next one in teaspoon, and the third one in pinches. Okay, pinches can be for something that you need very small, but try to maintain the uniformity of units. Then there also has to be uniformity in the units of what you are, say for example, carbohydrate, protein, fat, and sodium and other things were supposed to be calculated. So everything, the units were not tallying for many, especially sodium. Some have given in grams, some in milligrams, some in micrograms. So you have a unit for a particular thing, so stick to that because specifically most of them were students of nutrition. So we want them to have the right unit. So protein is in gram. Carbohydrate, what you're giving. Then suddenly you're writing something else. Suddenly teaspoons are coming. You can't have proteins in spoons. You can't have, so units are very, very important. See, what I'm giving you is a general feedback. It may not be applicable to everything, but this is something to be kept in mind. Also, when you are using hypertensive ingredients, remember that they are in very, very tiny amounts. It's not going to make a difference to that extent. And specifically mixing them to give a product. Like for example, there is some recipe which had a combination. It is a savory thing, it's a beverage, and it had a combination of hypertensive things added into it, the original being modified, but I did not find it I don't think anybody will find it acceptable because it was a drink which had a combination of cardamom, cloves, so many other things, along with a lot of garlic and sugar and whatever. So, I mean, just think logically, if you mix all this, what is that potent thing going to be? May probably be some kind of a brew which nobody will take it as a food, but may take it as a medicine. I don't know. So when you're having a recipe, don't go by that kind of a thing. So acceptability and how the combination of ingredients are going to be at the end of it. Also remember that you're cooking for the family. In India, you're not cooking for individuals. So if I have a hypertensive person at home, she is not going to cook that one dish for herself or himself. If it is himself, at least the wife may cook for him. But the woman in most conditions will try to see whatever is there and try to eat from there. She is not going to cook a separate. So acceptability is not only for the person, but also the family has to eat. You can't be cooking different things for different people. Also, your recipe is one of the things that the person is going to eat in the whole day. So that has to be kept in mind. That, okay, this is a snack, but she will have lunch, dinner, this, that, and the other. Or this is a beverage. What about the other things? That is it. Then, okay, so considering the whole day's food, also I would genuinely want all of you as students, whenever I did clinical nutrition practicals, I used to tell them to make a list of foods. You get tables, you get everything, but you have to make it, not on the Google or not from here. Sit with the authentic book, make a list of all sodium-rich foods, classify them, see sodium-rich cereal, sodium-rich whatever food groups, dals, pulses, or whatever, which are high sodium, which are low sodium. Also, simultaneously make a list of potassium-rich foods, because I did not come across anybody, promoting potassium. That is what we were looking out for when we looked at the recipes. You may have put a sprinkling of hypotensive ingredients, but there was no potassium there. So nobody has taken an effort to increase the potassium to reduce the sodium. So that is there. Then also one has to remember that like already mentioned by people, all things which are stored, which are packaged, which are a long shelf life, are things to be worried about because they are likely to have high sodium. So if somebody is even when we suggest that you replace, use tamarind instead of salt, be careful which tamarind you use. In Maharashtra, the tamarind is salted and kept as balls. If you use that tamarind, you're going to add salt. Kokum, it is a salted product. It may become sour, but it is salted. So like that, sometimes we do not realize there are many things which are being salted and which we are using. So what is it that we are using? So make a list of potassium-rich foods, make a list of sodium, and in that, again, give signals, marks, red, green, yellow. That always works with all foods and all clinical plans that you make. Once you identify, so heart, sodium is the main thing that you have to look out for. Of course, cholesterol, fat, and those things are also there. Also remember when we talk of protein and other things, higher the protein, higher the non-veg protein, the likelihood of sodium being high is more. So sometimes to fulfill our protein requirement, we may end up by adding sodium from in absolute invisible source, which we may not know. Like Neha mentioned, milk being the upper to medium level sodium. So like that, you will have to make a list and then you plan out your recipe. So I think, yeah. So I think this much of advice is enough. You are already tired, but I thought it is important because these are practical aspects which will be useful for you whenever you are planning meals, whenever you are creating recipes, or whenever you are thinking of any clinical clinically inclined recipes for whatever clinical condition. There are certain things that you need to keep in mind. Now, I'll be announcing the prize winners. The first prize goes to Hums Chums, that is Hummus Chum Chum by B.D. Ketan Setia. I request Dr. Subhadra to please hand out the prize. The second prize. Okay, the second prize is for Tahura Kamran, Lababdar Tikka, she's not here. The third prize goes to Khushbu Pathak, Lamb Cutlet. Now, okay, so now I will be announcing I don't like to call them as consolation prizes, I like to call them as encouragement prizes. So the first encouragement prize is to Nilima Joshi, Sprouted Bajra and Methi Uttar. The second one is to Jayashri Nachni Handbo. The third is to Komal Jain. She is sharing it again because there is a tie. Komal Jain with who has made Bajra Thali Pit. And Ravi Kumar Chana Dal Pancake with Palak Chas. The name of the second last one was Thalipit Masala Aloo. So it was like a dosa with Thalipit mixture and it had a filling and so. The last one is Chana Dal Pancake with Palak Chas. So these were some of the very interesting and creative recipes. All the best to our friends. The session is still on. If you wait for the activity, no? Please don't leave the room, please. I would request Dr. Subhadra Mandalika ma'am to felicitate and Dr. Anuradha Mitra ma'am.
स्विच ऑफ हो जाएगा मेरा नहीं दूंगा तो क्या हुआ क्या वीडियो देना है